Morning, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. If you're new here, this is the Steve Kane radio show, Florida's longest running radio show. Also, the most pro Trump radio show anywhere. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you love Trump, you'll love this show. If you don't love Trump, you will. Just give us a couple weeks. Subscribe to, click the notification bell. Here we go. 1-855 FLA 3782. You are listening to Florida's longest radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Call the show toll free. Dial 1. All right, welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show. Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. It is Monday, July the 6th, 2020. Back here live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So much going on. President Trump having a New Hampshire rally on Saturday. There'll be a rally for the president in New Hampshire on Saturday. And we're going to talk about that. Mainly, would you attend? We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Now, I got to tell you, I learned yesterday morning, which was Sunday morning, what a pro-Donald Trump conservative neighborhood that I live in. You know, and it's an interesting thing about neighborhoods. I had someone tell me once, one of our listeners in the live stream chat room that's in the real estate business told me that neighborhoods turn over every 16 years. I think a lot of that has to do with people buy houses, they have kids grow up, and then kids go move out or go to college or whatever, and then the parents, they call it downsizing, get a condo somewhere. And typically, I live in a I live in a liberal town. I live in a Democrat town. Democrat rep, Democrat congressman, Democrat county commissioners, Democrats, it's just Democrat. Something happened yesterday morning that let me know that I'm living in Trump country. I might as well change the name of my street to Trump Street or Trump Avenue or Trump Way or something. And I'll tell you what it is. And this is a gauge to how things have changed, you know, and how Trump is bringing over people that typically would be liberal into the Trump community. The 4th of July, didn't go anywhere on the 4th of July. Usually I do go out to see the fireworks nearby with my daughter. Did not do that this week because of all this social distancing crap. All the Democrats want to cancel America's birthday because they don't like America, right? I mean, it's just, you know, whack jobs. But anyway, every year, and it happened this year, my neighbors throughout, well, not just my next door neighbors, I'm talking about like the whole neighborhood. There are so many fireworks going off. It sounds like the Battle of Baghdad outside. Do any of you have this happen in your neighborhood? I know, and it kind of aggravates me, you know, and you can't get any sleep. It just goes on. It starts about a week before 4th of July, but on 4th of July, it just is going nuts. And it's going on and on till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Which was actually the 5th of July. You know, people go crazy like a bunch of pyromaniacs every year, no matter where I've lived. And my neighborhood is no exception to this that I live in now. I've lived in this neighborhood actually for, I think, 16 years. Yeah. So I get up very early on Sunday and go out and get coffee in the morning. They open up at 6 a.m., Starbucks on Sunday morning. So I go out and get my coffee. And the remnants of fireworks are all over the neighborhood, street after street. As I'm driving out of my development, I come back, there's everywhere, which is typical. And I go get my coffee, I come home, and I'm like, oh man, these jerks, they got the fireworks are on every street in the neighborhood, just covered with what's left over from fireworks, which is really like a bunch of cardboard everywhere. And then later in the morning, around, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock yesterday morning, I had to run out to go to the store. All of the fireworks everywhere in my development were cleaned up. Everywhere. Every street. I couldn't believe. When I went out at 6 a.m., I came back. Everywhere. Cardboard on every street, everywhere. And I come back just a couple hours later, all the fireworks on every street in my development had been cleaned up. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen this happen before during any 4th of July. And of course, what does that mean? Who picks up litter? Conservatives, Trump people. Liberals, they just leave it all around. They don't care, right? I mean, look at what they do at the National Mall, at the inaugurations and everything. So based on the immediate speed that everyone that went on a crazy firework, pyromaniac home launching on Saturday, cleaned everything up first thing when they woke up on Sunday morning, really when the sun came out, is just astonishing to me. So by the cleaning up of the firework litter so early in the morning, first light, Sunday morning on the 5th of July, to me that tells me that I'm living in a Trump community, which historically is very Democrat. So this is great. This landslide coming. It's just going to be great. So welcome. It's a new week. It's Monday, the 6th of July. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show. If you are new here, welcome. We are live every weekday morning from 6 until 9 a.m. We broadcast live on 103.9 FM, 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and AM 1470. You can also listen to the show on the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app. These are free apps that you can download. And when you go to the iHeartRadio app or the TuneIn app, search for Aspire Station, call letters WWNN. 2 W's, 2 N's. And we're also on the air 7 nights a week, overnights, midnight, until 6 a.m. So welcome. So much happening this weekend, though. We got this Trump rally coming up. And I want to throw this question out to you. Trump is having a rally in New Hampshire Saturday. Okay? And this is in the New York Post. Let me read this to you. President Trump will hold an outdoor campaign rally in New Hampshire. His campaign announced on Sunday. The event, scheduled for 8 p.m. Saturday at Portsmouth International Airport, will be his first visit to New Hampshire since February. We look forward to seeing many freedom-loving patriots coming to the rally and celebrating America, the greatest country in the history of the world. Well, ain't that the truth, right? Trump 2020 National Press Secretary Hogan Gidley said in a statement, attendees at the Trump rally in New Hampshire on Saturday will be strongly encouraged, not required, strongly encouraged to wear face masks, and there will be ample access to hand sanitizer due to the coronavirus pandemic, the Trump campaign said. According to WCVB television in Boston, the New Hampshire rally will be the first return to the state since the day before the GOP primaries in February, where President Trump easily won the state. New Hampshire was also Trump's first primary victory, right, in 2016. That's right. Trump held his first in-person rally since the outbreak in Tulsa in June. He canceled an event in Alabama. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all, and I'm going to tell you out the box what I would do. This rally in New Hampshire, and I want you guys to call me, our Trump people, would you attend this New Hampshire Trump campaign rally? If there was a rally like that here at home in Florida, would you go to it? I'm going to tell you right now that I would not go. If there was a Trump rally down the street from my house right now, I would not go. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Would you go? And there's a reason why I would not go, okay? I live my life very normally. I've been tested for coronavirus and the antibodies 3 times at any lab test now of Boca, but I've not changed any of my lifestyle, right? I go and do everything I normally would do. Haven't changed anything. In fact, this week, I'm going to Walt Disney World with my daughter. It's a late birthday present. Walt Disney World is opening up this week. We're going on opening day. I was able to score reservations for my daughter and myself for Walt Disney World's grand opening. So I'm going to Walt Disney World this week, but I wouldn't go to a Trump rally, and I would not go to this one in New Hampshire. And there's no one who's a stronger supporter of Donald Trump than me. And I want to hear you, would you go to this New Hampshire rally if you could? 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call from anywhere. 1-888-GO-CANE-1. That's Kane with a K, K-A-N-E, and the number 1. So why will I go to Walt Disney World this week, but I won't go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire, right? And I'm going to tell you why I would not go. The Trump, my friends on the Trump train, and we're all one big family, so hey, listen, we can talk. So many Trump people, rightly so, have strong opinions on what's going on with the shutdown and Fauci and all this stuff. And I agree with 99% of all of that. There's no doubt about it. Without getting sidetracked into the specifics of all that, I think you know what I mean by all that. So many Trump people are so angry at the economic shutdown, at Fauci, and all the information we've been hearing during the coronavirus pandemic, that they go out of their way not to only not take precautions, but to do things to be, some anti Fauci. By all of that, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube Live, just refresh it. I was switching the Wi-Fi connection and the feed dropped for a second, so if you're there, just refresh it and it'll be fine. So many, and this is why I would not go to the rally in New Hampshire this weekend, okay? Even if I lived down the street, even if it was in my neighborhood, why I would not go? And no one loves Donald Trump more than me. I'm telling you, no one. You'll find I will never disagree with Trump. I will never criticize President Trump. You'll never hear that from me, ever. Not that he's done anything that I think should be criticized, or he hasn't done anything I would take issue with. But even if he did, which I can't imagine him doing, I would never criticize President Trump. But I would not go to this rally because so many of the Trump people are beyond just the anti-maskers. They want to go out of their way to not wear masks, not take any precautions, get in close contact with people. It looks like they like to breathe on people and everything else. I think a lot of Trump people are on such a anti-Fauci civil rights kick that they're in closer proximity than they would normally be if this had never happened, right? They're like in Italy, where they're all up in your personal space. And I just find a lot of Trump people are reckless. On a normal day, I get close to no one. Before coronavirus, I was a germ freak. And when this rally happens in New Hampshire this week, where masks are not required, masks are going to be a minority. Masks will be a minority at that rally. I promise you, there'll be a minority. There'll be very few people with masks. And the ones that are there are going to want to prove that there's nothing to worry about. So they're up in your business, they're up in your face, they're breathing on you, they're touching you, they're getting all close. Closer than they would if coronavirus had never been heard of, if there was never a COVID-19 epidemic. So that's why I would not go to the New Hampshire rally. I'm going to Walt Disney World this week, and you might think, well, that's crazy. You're going to Disney World with your kid. Well, Disney World, they're limiting crowds. I'm going to make a YouTube vlog on my trip to Walt Disney World this week, so you'll all get to see it. But they're limiting dramatically the number of, they haven't said how few people, but they're going to have very few people allowed into the park. And they got all this social distancing stuff set up on everything, so it's going to be much different. But a Trump rally, you're going to be in there like sardines. Everyone's going to want to breathe on you. No one's going to wear masks. They're going to get closer into your personal space than they would have a year ago at a rally because they want to prove something. And I think a lot of the Trump people are reckless. So that's why I would not be going to the Trump rally in New Hampshire, or if they even had one in my neighborhood. So my question to you is, would you go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire if you were there? Would you go to a Trump rally right now if it was here in your community? I would not. I want to hear what you guys think. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-GO-CANE-1. And I don't want to just hear yes or no. I want you to tell me your thinking behind it. Why would you go? Why would you not go? All right, our number toll free 1-888-465-2631. Would you go? Would you attend the Trump rally this weekend in New Hampshire? Now, for the first time, someone that I know that is actually in my family has tested positive for the coronavirus. That's right. Now, luckily, it's someone in my family I haven't seen in 3 or 4 years, but they're in my family still. So, yeah. So, actually, 2 people because it's a married couple. I've got a married couple. They're in my family. I'm not going to say who and how they're related, but it's closely related family member and their spouse have the coronavirus. And what they've gone through is pretty rough stuff here. They started to feel a little sick over the weekend, last weekend, like on Sunday or something. And now this is a family member that I've not seen in 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, even though they're here in Florida. And they went to one of the public testing places, you know, where they stick that thing up your nose, it goes up to your eye, it hurts like hell. They went to one of those public testing places to get tested for the corona. Oh yeah, they got their results Thursday. I found out about this on Friday. And of course, everyone in the family's talking. Have you had contact with them? Have you had contact? Because we want to make sure, I haven't seen them in a long time, but I want to make sure I don't have any contact with anyone in my family who's, no one has that is in my circle of people that I would connect with. But, so they went for almost 5 days before they got their coronavirus results. And what were they doing during those 4 days? Going here, going there, going to work, touching base, going here, the stores, going to get crazy. Now they're all isolated, not doing anything, no contact with anyone now. But while they were waiting for the results, they were. And yeah. So this is what you want to do. Don't wait a day, not to mention 4 or 5, like these people in my family did. If you suspect, if you're sick, if you got some symptoms of something and you want to know, do I have coronavirus? Go to any lab test now of Boca. Go to any lab test now of Coral Springs. They do the testing on the spot. You will, 15 minutes or less, you're in and out, right? You go in. Steve and I did this last week with his son. We went in to do this. I didn't have any symptoms. Steve didn't have any symptoms, but we went in for the testing so we could talk to you about it. It's just a little finger test. You walk in, 15 minutes later, you walk out, and you have your results. Positive or negative. Ours were all negative. That way you know. Any lab test now of Coral Springs, located, of course, in Coral Springs, on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood, over by the Coral Square Mall. And their phone number is 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza, where the Western Beef is, south of Palmetto Park Road, north of Hillsborough, on the east side of State Road 7, 441. And their number is 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Both of those locations and their information listed at stevekainshow.com. The phone numbers and addresses if you want to call, if you have any questions. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the 15 minutes, you know, right? Negative, positive, boom. 15 minutes, you know if you have coronavirus. The test costs just $69. What a great deal it is. All right, so there are lots of any lab test nows, but only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. Any lab test now of Coral Springs and any lab test now of Boca Raton. When you stop in, tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Radio Show. So I'm not going to go to I would not go to the Trump rally. I am sorry, people. I am not going to take any risks like that. I think it's kind of crazy. Now, did you all catch President Trump at Mount Rushmore? I must say, this is something to be said, because I have seen I don't know how many times I've seen a Trump rally or a Trump speech on television. I mean, I don't know. Could anybody put a number? I mean, I haven't caught every one, but most every time the president has spoken publicly since he came down the escalator, I think I've seen it. I bet you I have seen 90 to 95% of the times President Trump has publicly spoken since he came down the escalator. And I think that's true for most Trump people, right? So I don't know how many times that will be, all right? But this speech that President Trump gave at Mount Rushmore was, I gotta say, his best speech ever. I think it was his best speech ever. It was very impressive. I was completely blown away by the whole thing. It was amazing. In fact, it was so good. It was so good. When I came back home with my coffee Sunday morning, I watched the whole speech again from beginning to end, the whole thing, no fast forwarding, on YouTube. It was that good. It was absolutely amazing. What do you guys say? Was that the best Trump speech ever? And, you know, all of a sudden, Mount Rushmore's racist. And this woman on CNN should be fired. This was a CNN reporter on the scene of the Trump speech.
The Independence Day weekend, President Trump will be at Mount Rushmore, where he'll be standing in front of a monument of 2 slave owners and on land wrestled away from Native Americans, told that be focusing on the effort to, quote, tear down our country's history.
Wow, so he'll be speaking in front of a monument to 2 slave owners, which of course are Washington and Thomas Jefferson. That woman should have been fired on the spot. They should have pulled her off and fired her right there on location and just given the microphone to a producer or something on the scene to pick up where she left off. That was some of the most disgusting reporting I've ever seen. The president will be speaking here in front of a monument to 2 slave owners. Don Jr. just had a fantastic response to this. Don Jr. Tweeted, because the New York Times was saying certain things as well about this. And he said, well, the New York Times in New York City, your offices are on stolen Indian land. Manhattan, that was stolen, right? Was it $12 in beads or something, as goes the story? All of America used to be Indian territory. All of it. It is no longer, okay? So no matter where you are, no matter where you live, you are anywhere, right? Anywhere in the United States of America, Canada, Mexico, Central and South America, it all used to belong to the Indians. All of it. Okay? So you know, so this whole thing that Mount Rushmore is on stolen Indian land. Everything used to belong to the Indians. It doesn't anymore. By the way, the Indians were nomadic. They roamed the earth. But regardless of that, you know, it's amazing. And it didn't take long for people to start posting online events where Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and others visited Mount Rushmore, and it was being praised by everything. And, you know, this wiping out of our history, this is the best thing the left have given us in a long time, because the mainstream public have no sympathy for this. Mainstream public have no sympathy for this. You know, this talk about the Black National Anthem at the football games, at the NFL games in the new season, it's Lift Every Voice, which is sung at civil rights events and everything, and it's not an official Black National Anthem, but it's often referred to, Lift Every Voice, as the Black National Anthem. Kaepernick, there's a new ad with Kaepernick, and they're throwing around over the weekend, all weekend long, this quote of Frederick Douglass. By the way, Frederick Douglass was a Republican, people, but they have this quote from Frederick Douglass about what 4th of July means to black people. Frederick Douglass did say what they say he said about the 4th of July. But that quote, that famous speech of Frederick Douglass was before the slaves were freed. You know, Frederick Douglass made his fame. He was an escaped slave. He was escaped from a Democrat slaveholder. I want to say in Baltimore, Maryland, is where he was where he last was enslaved. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I read his book, but that seems familiar to me. But Frederick Douglass traveled around as an abolitionist, speaking, and context is everything. And that 4th of July quote of Frederick Douglass was before the emancipation. I think it was before the war even began. I want to say it was in the 1850s. I'll look up the exact date, but it was before the emancipation, probably before the Civil War. And context is everything. And they're using this to act as if Frederick Douglass was not taking issue with the 4th of July after the Civil War and the slaves were freed. It was before, when he was speaking to crowds, trying to get support for the abolitionist movement. And he was a Republican, Frederick Douglass. Never forget that. Frederick Douglass was a Republican. Now, so far as Colin Kaepernick, I don't spend much time thinking about Colin Kaepernick because Kaepernick is no longer a football player. You know, if he were to fill out an application or a form where he had to put down occupation, what would Kaepernick put down as his occupation? He's not a football player anymore. He's an activist. He's an activist. And what activists have to do, what do activists have to do all the time, right? They have to find grievances. So someone around Kaepernick, or Kaepernick himself, went on Wikipedia or something, found this 4th of July quote with Frederick Douglass, and they're running with it so out of context. It's unbelievable. He's no longer a football player. He's no longer a quarterback. He is an activist. And activists always have to have something to be activated about. They have to have a grievance, a gripe, a complaint. Do you think Colin Kaepernick wants to play football? I mean, how long has it been since he's played in a game? How many years has it been? Is this 3 years, 4 years? Is he in shape? Could he compete now? Is what he's doing now more lucrative and easier? Right? Now he just has to fire off a tweet or put some meme on Instagram. Doesn't have to work out for months in the heat and play and travel and have coaches and people tell him what to do. Kaepernick is no longer a football player. He's an activist, and everything that he says, tweets, and comments on should be put in that context. And the question is, does he want to play football again? And could he? You know, could he play at the level of the NFL? He could go to camp. You know what'd be amazing is if Colin Kaepernick, if he was really serious about football and no one wanting to put him on a team, if he would go to, say, Canada and show everyone how great he is and play for $30,000, $40,000 a year, right, on their 110-yard fields, you know, and show everyone that he's just the best quarterback. Oh my goodness! Look at this, Kaepernick. Look what he's done to Canadian football. The Canadian Football League has never seen a quarterback like Kaepernick. And if he went up there and was showing what a spectacular quarterback he is, then people say, "Wow!" But he's not doing that, is he? Of course not. Why? Because he doesn't want to play football anymore. What he's doing now is easier, more lucrative. And he's hobnobbing with celebrities. He doesn't have to work out. He doesn't have to stay in shape. He doesn't have to practice. He's got no one telling him what to do. Basically, he's retired, Kaepernick, with a very lucrative career as an activist. All right, listen, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE1. 888-465-2780. 2631. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Here with my good friend and my attorney, Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Barry, you offer a service called elder law. And since I'm getting up there in years, I'd like to find out exactly what that is and when and if I need it.
Sure, Steve. Elder law, think of it as asset protection. Now,
Good morning,
as
everyone.
we age and get into our retirement years, the number one concern or threat to our assets is the cost of long-term care. Care either at home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Very, very expensive. And it can eat away at your assets. It can even deplete your assets to nothing. Imagine if you lose all your assets, you have to go into a facility and your spouse at home has nothing left. Or you may end up not having any assets left to leave to your loved ones. So with elder law, we are able to look at different government benefits that may be available to you or your spouse, such as Medicaid or veteran benefits. And even if you don't think that you're eligible for these benefits, you'd be surprised. That's what elder law attorneys do, is we help people who may not be eligible at this point become eligible so that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse, and their loved ones.
Well, it sounds like a really great idea. I suggest you call my attorney, Barry Siegel, and he will be glad to set up an appointment and explain everything to you in even more detail. His number, toll-free, 1-855-FLA-3782. Mention that you heard it on the Steve Kane Show.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WW.
Hey guys, are you prepared for hurricane season? Do you have the right hurricane coverage for your home, for your property, for your condo, for your business, for your commercial real estate? Call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. She'll review your hurricane coverage at no charge and make sure that everything you need and want is covered. Once you see a hurricane on Channel 7 coming down Hurricane Alley, it's too late. You need to call now, review your policy, make sure that everything you want covered is covered in case a hurricane strikes. Make sure that you're not paying too much, too, because she'll review this. All you have to gain, right? There's nothing to lose here. You just got an opportunity to save some money. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors. Call her right now. Leave a message. They will call you back during business hours. If you're an overnight listener, you can call at night, overnight, and they will call you back during business hours. And by the way, this is for condos, single-family homes, commercial property, mobile homes. No matter where you are in the state of Florida, from Key West up through the Panhandle, Debbie at I Will Advisors can help you. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. I'm so happy. President Trump, thank the Lord. President Trump, finally. You know, Tucker Carlson, number one in cable news. We love Tucker Carlson, right? Everybody loves Tucker Carlson. But Donald Trump, you know, most of the rest of Fox News is just garbage. President Trump told viewers Sunday night, that's last night, listen to this. President Donald Trump told viewers on Sunday evening to dump Fox News in favor of Newsmax or One American News. After a Wall Street Journal editor weighed in on a Fox segment about President Trump's lagging performance in the polls. Now, these are the polls that they put up on the screen, right? The swing state polls, the battleground state polls, and this is at Mediaite. It's a graphic of what they put up on Fox News. Arizona, Florida, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Every single poll has Biden ahead. Biden doesn't even know what office he's running for half the time, and he doesn't know what president is the president he's running against. He keeps calling it the 20th century. We're 2 decades in. It's the 21st, man. And Biden is up in every single poll. Come on. Wisconsin, 51-43, Biden. Pennsylvania, 50-44, Biden. North Carolina, 51-44, Biden. Michigan, this is the closest one, right? 48-43 Biden. Arizona, 51-44 Biden. And Florida, 50-45. Are you freaking kidding me? You know, on Saturday, I drove up by Mar-a-Lago. Went by Mar-a-Lago on on Saturday. I was up in West Palm Beach for something, and on my way home, I said, you know what? Let me drive by Mar-a-Lago. Do you know what I saw going down the road by Mar-a-Lago? I saw multiple times cars and trucks. The trucks were the best. And this wasn't a parade or anything. These were just people doing what I was doing, driving by the Southern White House to get a look. I saw trucks and cars driving by with Trump flags flying in them. And by the way, this was Saturday, the 4th of July. That's right. In Democrat Palm Beach County, driving by the Southern White House, Trump flags in the back of pickup trucks, outside the windows of cars, Trump stickers. I'm sure the liberal Palm Beach neighbors hate it. But, you know, people driving by all day to see Mar-a-Lago, which isn't that easy to do, the way they have the street and everything set up. How the hell is Biden ahead 5 points in any credible poll? You know, you would think on Fox News Channel they would be embarrassed to show. Would you be embarrassed if you were them showing these things? You know, to put this up there and have a discussion. You know, the issue with the polls isn't Biden being ahead. The issue is if the story with the polls that they're showing. I mean, first off, even if they had a real candidate, right? Because they don't have a credible candidate. They got this. You know what they got. How is it statistically possible for a man to sometimes say that his sister is his wife and that he's running for the Senate and all this stuff? You know what? You know the list. How is it statistically possible that Joe Biden is ahead in every single swing battleground state? And he's usually ahead by the close as 5 points. No less than 5 points ahead in every single swing state. How is that possible? In particular, in a state in Florida, where we not only elected a Trump-backed governor, Ron DeSantis, but we defeated a long-term Democrat Senator, Nelson, and plugged in there a strong Republican, our former governor, Rick Scott. How is that possible? Now, sadly, I understand Newsmax and One American News may not be as interesting all the time as Fox News, but the story is, what is wrong with these polls? Why are all the polls so inaccurate again? Well, the answer is simple. They're all fixed and fake, just like last time and every other election. The Democrats are always ahead in the polls, especially in the elections they lose. You know? And Trump has good reason to be pissed off about it. And you know what? Viewers should be pissed off. I wish Tucker can't criticize his own network. I understand that. Okay? But I wish that he really could get into what's going on in the polls that we're seeing on television all the time, with Biden no less than 5 points ahead in every single battleground state. Even with a candidate, which they don't have, even with a candidate, right? There's no way that he could be that in all the polls unless there was a happening. You know, and I know they keep thinking, well, he's done such a disaster with the coronavirus. No, he is not. What Trump has done during the coronavirus is a miracle. Only Trump could do this, right? We were talking last week, 4.8 million new jobs last month. Who would have ever dreamed that something like that was possible during a crisis like this? It's really astounding that it could. That I know it's amazing. It's a miracle. Oh boy, I tell you, this is what we always got to fight against. This is why the polls are so dangerous. You know what's really dangerous? You know what's really dangerous? Going to these protests. Did you see this story in Atlanta? I'm going to talk about this coming up. Of the 8-year-old girl who was killed in Atlanta. This, you know, the violence over the weekend. What happened in Chicago? What happened with this little girl over the weekend in Atlanta? This stuff's got to stop. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning. I think the reason why people can't believe Biden is in the lead, and by the way, I'm Hal from Coral Springs, is because I don't think the Republicans understand that no one's voting for Biden. Everyone's voting for his vice president.
Oh, really? Everyone's voting for his vice president, Biden's vice president? Who would that be? Who's his vice presidential candidate, running mate?
That's my point exactly. No one's voting for Biden. Everyone's voting for his vice president.
Yeah, but who's his vice president? You say everyone's voting. So you're. This is interesting now, Alan Coral Springs. Not to be confused with Al the John. You believe the polls are accurate, that Joe Biden's ahead in every battleground state. You believe that is accurate.
No, what I'm trying to tell you is that everyone's voting for Biden.
Well, what does that mean? Oh, okay. Well, then, could you tell us who his running mate is? Oh, wait a second here. Everyone's voting for Biden's vice president? Who is that?
Right.
Who is that? Give me the name.
You know who it is.
No, I don't. Tell me. You know, tell me.
I'm not going to hold up your radio time.
No, you're not. I'm here till 9. What is the name of Joe Biden's running mate? No, don't ask me. Answer my question. You said everyone's voting for his running mate. Who is Biden's running mate? You know what this is? This is a sad call. Can you man up and admit that you don't know who his running mate is? You don't even know my name. I'm Brian, not Steve. Are you okay? Am I talking to Biden? You're very confused. You say people are... Do you know the name of Biden's... I know you don't know the name of his running mate. I'm not triggered. You said people are voting for Biden's running mate. You don't know the name. And do you know why I know you don't know the name? Why do you think you don't know the name? And you know what? I don't either. Why do neither of us know the name of Biden's running mate?
Did you watch what...
No. Why do neither of us know the name of Biden's running mate? Why do you think? I don't know, you don't know. No. The reason is, Alan Coral Springs, is he hasn't picked one yet. Okay? Oh, he hung up. Al hung up. Al hung up, people. I did not hang up on Al. He hung up. The last 3 liberal callers we've had, because I was listening to the Friday show on the way into work this morning, the liberal callers keep hanging up. See, he's got a talking point early. Alan Coral Springs, not to be confused with Al the John. This is Liberal Al 2 in Coral Springs. He's got the talking point early. He has not named, announced, or picked a running mate yet. Stupid. I don't like to call someone stupid, but that guy's stupid. Oh my goodness. All right, let's take our last break of the first hour. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget
goodness.
and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely can't be beaten. Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire. Tires for my daughter Emily's car, $135 at the shops around town. The price at Friendly Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per tire. These prices are out the door and on the road. Free mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire have a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. Online, friendlytire.net.
Feeling old? Tired? Broken down? This is Dr. Mitchell Matez of the Boca Raton Center for Age Management, and I Can Fix It. In 2005, we introduced South Florida to the amazing implantable hormone pellet. These safe and effective pellets will reverse the signs and symptoms of the aging process and leave you feeling fantastic. Energy, sex drive, and weight control are just a phone call away. If you want to feel good again, if you want to look good again, and you want to function well again, call me.
I don't know who Vin Man is.
At the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490. That's 561-953-5490. Or visit our website at hormonetherapybocaraton.com.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. If you watch on the live stream on YouTube Live, Brian Craig on YouTube, you can see that I didn't bathe very well this morning. I didn't bathe very well. I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because it'll actually help me with the spot today. And I'm showing everyone my... I did shower this morning. I did shower and bathe, but I missed my left elbow. I think I got my right elbow. I didn't clean very well, at least. I didn't wash my left elbow, because what is there is paint from Ace Hardware. You know, Ace Hardware, Deerfield Beach, Ace Hardware. Great sponsors here on the Steve Kane Show. Lots of Ace Hardwares, but only two advertising on the Steve Kane Show. That's Ace Hardware, Deerfield, and Beach Ace Hardware. And yeah, I was painting yesterday afternoon. The closet doors and the hallway of my house to match all the redoing of everything in my master bedroom last weekend. And as always, all my supplies, all my materials come from, well, sometimes either location. It just depends on where I'm out and about when I stop in. But either the Deerfield Ace Hardware or Beach Ace Hardware. And Deerfield Ace Hardware is just south of Hillsborough on the west side of US 1. Beach Ace Hardware is at 232 Commercial Boulevard, Lauderdale by the Sea. Both locations listed at SteveKaneShow.com. Yes, I had paint on my arm last Monday too, but this is a different color paint than last week was blue, a shade of blue. This is white. Yeah, so this is new paint from yesterday. I just noticed that a little while ago. So my left elbow is dirty, but that's okay. Like I say, it'll help me with the spots. All right, so yeah, the two Ace Hardware locations, Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware, both listed at SteveKaneShow.com. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, that last caller, Liberal Al, I wish he wouldn't have hung up, but I hate to be rude to the guy and call him stupid and all. You know, but come on, they're voting for his running mate. You know, in the history, and I want you to ask yourself this question. In the history of elections, because this is something Democrats always say, you know, voting for, have you ever voted for the bottom of the ticket? No one votes for the bottom of the ticket. Everyone votes for the top of the ticket. All right, let's go to the phones. All right, you're on the radio. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, Richie, how are you? Richie the bus driver.
Brian, I'll tell you, I get the polls, you know I don't believe any of the polls. I see this propaganda going on, it's getting me crazy. Yesterday, I've been just giving an example of my experience yesterday. I put on Stephanopoulos and they got Martha Raddatz. And I missed most of them. They come up with the panel, okay? And there's a guy, I don't know his name on the panel, one of the regulars for ABC. And the first thing out of his mouth, and I almost fell out, I said the truth, he says, President Trump, divisive speech against Americans at the...
Divisive. I guess the people that took down the Christopher Columbus statue and beheaded it, they're not divisive. To criticize them is to be divisive. They divided the statue into two pieces.
He says, he says the American people, this is what really got me. He says Trump is going against everything. He says 67% of the American people are for Black Lives Matter. At that point, when I heard that, at that point, I got sick to my stomach. I literally did. I turned the damn thing off. And I am not going to watch politics anymore.
Yeah.
Furious.
Yeah.
put on the golf tournament, and there's nobody in the golf tournament, there's no fans or anything like that, but outside the damn gate, they have about 50, and they say, these are peaceful protesters, and they start screaming, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. I'm listening to this while I'm watching the golf tournament, and then they're talking about the commercials that put black people up there saying the systemic racism in the United States. And then they talk about the coronavirus. It's getting me crazy because now, I mean, they're talking about Palm Beach with that thing. You know, you make fun, you say, I don't go out. But now they're talking about the hospitals being overdone in Palm Beach.
I don't know. Drive by the hospitals. People are afraid to go to the hospitals. The hospitals are pretty empty. The ones I see, I mean, I'm sure there's some somewhere that are filled, but I drive around hospitals. There's one every 10 feet in South Florida, you know, because we have the oldest population.
Saying that next week, at the rate it's going, the hospitals, the emergency rooms, they won't have intensive care, rather. There'll be nobody, no room. And they're very worried about it.
Oh, yeah, they're very worried. But so there is room now. There is room now. I thought they were filled up. Now there is room. Which is it? Let me ask you, Richie, this New Hampshire rally, President Trump's having a New Hampshire rally Saturday. Would you go?
I would wear a mask and go.
You would? Would you wear gloves? See, I wouldn't go. You would go. You would go to a Trump rally this weekend if there was one here. You would go with a mask.
Mask.
That's amazing.
Myself, I try.
You can't distance yourself. There's no social distancing at these rallies. You'll be right next to people that you don't know. You'd go, okay.
Well, you see what's happened now. I mean, they right away, they 4 baseball players, the Marlins got it, the NBA's got it, the hockey. I mean, that's all they're talking about. You know, it's like...
Well, you know, when I hear athletes all on the same team have it, I start to wonder about that. How did they all get it? How did they get that close to get it? Or who else were they close to they had it? You know, when I think of athletes, I think of strippers and parties and things like this and groupies. Did they get it from the same woman or something? You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I think about. I mean, how close do you got to be to get it from someone?
I was just talking about this actor that was his wife and his child, and I saw the blasting on the thing.
No, who you talk? I don't know who you're talking about. What? Oh, the Broadway guy that died?
Yeah, he's 41 with a wife and child, and they said that he got it, and then they couldn't control it, and they said that his wife was interviewed, he couldn't get it, it was high.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. You know, Brittany Murphy died, and she was like 31, 32 years old, you know, and this of something else, and they never could figure really out what. I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, if there was a huge run of people that were that young that were dying from it, then I'd be like, okay. But I don't know. Did he have any other pre-existing conditions? I don't know. Well, I don't know about that. Have they performed an autopsy yet to give us an accurate picture? I don't know.
Body was shutting down.
That seems a little intense beyond anything I've heard with this. I know I've been following it, but I think that there's probably something else in play there that we're not aware of. That seems that, you know, they cut off his leg.
To take over for his heart because he got an infection.
Oh, so he died from an infection. Well, that's okay. Well, that's interesting. You know, when hospitals. Okay, because I get a lot of my wife is usually once a year in the hospital for something and things like this, and I don't go and visit. I mean, I go when she goes in, I pick her up. I don't visit often. I'm talking about before coronavirus, because hospitals are where you pick up all kinds of things, because that's where all the sick people go, and you know, everyone's heard the numbers. People, they go in the hospital, they die all the time from some complication they got while they were in the hospital.
President Trump, this is the thing. Sometimes you know, whether he's right or wrong, sometimes whatever he says, they're going to criticize. When he came out with the statement that 99% of all these people getting the coronavirus they have no symptoms and nothing wrong with them, then right away they start trying to show he's a liar and he's handling it bad. And sometimes
now I saw a story today. I can't remember who said this, but you know, he's President Trump signed this order to build the Garden of Heroes and Icons or whatever. Yeah, the statues, and he listed off all the right people: Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, all the right people, and Frank Sinatra, and someone that knew Sinatra, was it Nancy Sinatra? So, someone said Sinatra hated Trump. Well, first off, everyone knows that Sinatra was a lifelong Democrat. Look what he did for Kennedy, who betrayed him. So and when Trump was around dealing with Sinatra was in his later senile years where they had to put the lyrics up on teleprompters. So he was a crotchety old Democrat, Sinatra, at that point. But now they got that story floating around. Sinatra hated Trump. Well, he hated Kennedy too, because Kennedy screwed him over. I wonder who these rocket scientists were that tore down the Frederick Douglass statue. Did they know who he was? Well, there was a, Hamilton, the musical, which with the black cast, big hit thing, and I saw Hamilton on Disney Plus over the weekend. And let me tell you something. I love Broadway musicals. Hamilton is the most overrated thing I've ever seen. I've seen other things that were Broadway shows that were not good, but people told me going in, like Titanic, everyone said it was awful. It was awful. I have never seen something as overrated as Hamilton, but Hamilton had a black cast for the most part, almost all black. Black guy playing Washington, Hispanic guy playing Hamilton, and now the cancel culture is discussing whether or not Hamilton, the musical with a black cast, should be removed from Disney Plus, and should the tours not be allowed to resume next year when Broadway reopens, because it is glorifying men who own slaves. Can you imagine? So the cancel culture is canceling itself.
You could get up there and say all lives matter, and how bad has the country gone when you say all lives matter and you call it racist?
That's right. All right, take care. Richie the bus driver, always something to say. And, remember we had a call on Friday. Guy called into the show on Friday, played all weekend. He said we should let Richie talk until he's done. All right, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, a little bit after, actually. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Hour number 2 begins now.
FM 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. You have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go up to Myrtle Beach for my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And Barry says every 3 years at least you got to. I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different, and I'm just asking for information for my sister. Now, most people just blow you off, right? Yeah. Almost immediately within a few minutes.
Good morning, everyone.
Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient. I was quite a while with him, and I talked about a lot of things, and this and that. But I wanted to say, character, integrity, these are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them. They all have that you can trust them, and you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell them Steve sent you.
Do you suffer from foot pain that just won't go away? Do you have balance issues, and are you afraid of falling? Are you in need of orthotics? Are you a diabetic and in need of diabetic shoes and custom inserts? These are just a few reasons why you would call the Soul Authority today. Whether it's in the comfort of your own home or coming to the office at one of our 2 convenient locations in Pembroke Pines or Tamarack, the Soul Authority can take care of all of your podiatric needs. If you're a Medicare recipient, call us today at 954-597-7000. That's 954-597-7060. And you can also find us online at thesoulauthority.com. That's THESOLE authority.com. Call the Soul Authority today and start taking care of your feet.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free, dial 1-888-GO-GET.
Yes. All right, hour number 2 has begun. 4 minutes after 7 o'clock in the morning. It is Monday, the 6th of July, 2020. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. We are live every weekday morning, broadcasting live on 4 radio stations, 103.9 FM, 96.9 FM, 95.3 FM, and AM 1470, live from 6 until 9 a.m. each and every weekday morning, with overnight rebroadcast at midnight till 6 a.m. All right, well, all this talk, this liberal guy called up and said Biden's ahead in the polls because they're voting for his running mate, which has not been announced yet. Well, one of the potential running mates of Joe Biden, someone that we're told is on the short list, is making headlines worldwide today. And this is the mayor of Atlanta. There's a lady mayor in Atlanta. She's African American. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom declared enough is enough after an 8-year-old girl, who was black, was shot dead on the 4th of July when at least 2 gunmen opened fire on her mom's car near the Wendy's where Rashard Brooks died in Atlanta. Sequoia Turner was killed after her mother drove through an illegal barricade that had been set up by activists around the Wendy's where Brooks was shot dead on June 12th. The mayor, again, African-American female mayor of Atlanta, who has been promoted as a potential running mate for Joe Biden in November's presidential election, summarized the incident by declaring enough is enough. We have talked about this movement that is happening across America at this moment in time when we have the ears and the interest of people across the country and across the globe who are saying they want to see change. We're fighting the enemy within when we are shooting each other up in our streets. You shot and killed a baby. Now, keep in mind, she's talking to the Black Lives Matter protesters. Black Lives, this autonomous zone thing is the new in vogue thing, right, with the activists, since Seattle went so well. So they set up barricades, the BLM activists, around the Wendy's. And this little girl was in the car, and the mother drove around the barricades. So they opened fire on the vehicle and killed an 8-year-old baby. This audio here, this is the mother you hear first, and then the father of the little girl. Where is it? I've got it right here. Hold on. Here it is.
Help me. Help my baby. She was only 8 years old. Right now, he's 30 minutes after the seat. She would have been on TikTok dancing in her phone. Just got finished eating. We understand the frustration of Rashard Brooks. We understand. We ain't got nothing to do with it. We innocent. We didn't mean no harm. My baby didn't mean no harm. Somebody knows something.
They say Black Lives Matter. You killed your own. Killed your own this time. Just because of barrier. They killed my baby because she crossed the barrier and made a U-turn. You killed a child. She didn't do nothing to nobody.
It's showing on my car before we could even make a U-turn. Showing my tires out. Like, why?
But Black Lives Matter.
My baby was shot in her bed.
Killing your own.
Nobody there to help.
You killed an 8-year-old child.
Nobody.
She ain't did nothing to now one of y'all. She just wanted to get home to see her cousin. That's all she wanted to do. She just wanted to get home.
Wow. Yeah. And the mayor of Atlanta, on the short list of Vice President Biden's picks to be on the bottom of the losing ticket of Biden 2020, has said enough is enough. And, you know, CNN, based in Atlanta, are they all over this story? The mayor of Atlanta said, "You shot and killed a baby." And it wasn't, this is the mayor of Atlanta who's on Biden's short list, talking to Black Lives Matter in Atlanta that set up a illegal barricade around the Wendy's. You shot and killed a baby. And it wasn't one shooter, there were at least 2 shooters. The mayor also noted that the latest shooting, as well as others that occurred in a 24-hour span, were not the work of local police. The reality is, these aren't police officers shooting people on the streets of Atlanta, the mayor said. These are members of the community shooting each other. And in this case, it's the worst possible outcome. And there's a picture of this little girl, and it's just, I can't even look at the picture. It's just so sad. It's just so sad. The mother, who you just heard, and the father, said she was overcome by grief as she made an emotional plea during a press conference with the mayor. People know who was over there setting up barricades and who had guns and who was firing them off. Now, unfortunately, the left have done so much damage to police around this country that the police may not be able to go in there and do a proper investigation like they would have been able to do a few months ago and find out who did it. But people in the Black Lives Matter movement in Atlanta who were involved in the protest, they know, or they have information that could help law enforcement track down who fired the shots. This is an opportunity for Black Lives Matter and other activists in Atlanta and nationwide to gain some semblance of credibility. We hear these stories every Monday of the violence in Chicago, and it's like people own one ear out the other. This was an 8-year-old baby, 8-year-old little girl. She was shot and killed by activists who set up an illegal barricade. These are the BLM activists. If Black Lives Matter came out and demanded that their people, their activists on the scene in Atlanta, cooperate with authorities and tell them any information they have, set up a Crime Stoppers-like thing, and by the way, let's put a reward on it. I'm sure they could put up $1 million reward for information leading to the arrest of these 2 shooters. At least 2, maybe there were more, but there were at least 2 according to the mayor. Then Black Lives Matter people could say, you know, I don't agree with their agenda. We got a lot of disagreements with Black Lives Matter, but they did the right thing in Atlanta. But see, they're in a conflict here because they want to defund the police. So how can they go out while they're saying defund the police and say cooperate with police? So right now, what you have in Atlanta is you have activists. See, and it takes people that are part of the group to do it because now everyone's wearing masks. So even if this is all on street cams, which it may or may not be, but even if it was, you still need people there involved to give information to law enforcement because people are wearing masks. They need more information. Who were they talking to? Did you see what vehicle they left in or came in? Did you see anything about them? If Black Lives Matter, like this guy that they have on Fox all the time from Black Lives Matter New York, for example, if that guy went on television today, or the Black Lives Matter leaders had a press conference and say, listen, in Atlanta, an 8-year-old little girl was shot dead by people who claim to be with our movement, This is not what our movement is about. If you have any information about who the shooters of this little baby girl were, call Atlanta police and let them know. And Black Lives Matter has enough money coming in. You know, what about Kaepernick? Colin Kaepernick could come out today and offer a $1 million reward for information leading to the arrest of the shooters of that little girl. But would he do it? Would Black Lives Matter do it? Would Black Lives Matter ask for justice in a case like this, justice that could only occur if police are involved and are given information by people on the scene? Would they do that? You know, what happened to Brooks is controversial, but he assaulted police officers, he stole a taser weapon, and he was a convict. I don't think the police officer should have shot him, Brooks. But this little girl, there's no debating her. She's innocent. She's an angel. And by the way, same goes for her mother. You heard the audio. But the little girl, there's no question that she's an angel. 8-year-old little girl trying to get home to make a TikTok video. Because that's what she does on Saturday nights. Where's Kaepernick? Where's Kaepernick? Where's Nike? Nike's out there, big supporters of... You know, I'll tell you this. I need a pair of sneakers, right? And yesterday, I almost went out and bought a pair of Nikes, and I did not, and I didn't as a direct result of Kaepernick with this 4th of July message that he sent out. But you know, if these activists, led by Kaepernick, whichever it is, came out and offered a reward for the shooters that killed that little baby girl in Atlanta, they would gain so much credibility with people in this country. May disagree with them, but they would come out as a legitimate organization that truly does believe Black Lives Matter. Because certainly that girl's life mattered. And it was taken away. Someone said, I thought you only wore Vans. I needed sneakers because I wanted to go on a long walk, doing some walking, exercising. My wife says I need to start exercising. That's right. So you got to do that with Nikes. Can't go on long walks in Vans. People are wondering. Okay. But you know what? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, okay? And they're not going to do it because they can't, in their mind, right, let people know that calling the cops is the right thing to do under any circumstance because they're in this anti-cop militant mode right now. And I'll tell you, President Trump, this is an opportunity for President Trump. President Trump, Don Jr., Ivanka, whoever, Eric, they could come out and offer $1 million of their own Trump money. This would be a great idea. And if Black Lives Matter would like to match it and make it $2 million, come out and offer $1 million of their own personal money to the person that gives information to law enforcement that leads to the arrest of the shooters of this little girl in Atlanta. Oh my goodness. What would happen if the president or one of the family members like Don Jr. did that? What do you think the media would say? What do you think the liberals would say? What do you think Black Lives Matter would say? All right, our number, toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631, 1-888-465-2631. Let's take a break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere.
Business owners, is your business open and you want to let your customers know if you change the services?
I still wear Vans. See, got them on right now. This is a new pair of Vans, actually. Just bought these like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I don't know.
2631. And let's talk about how the Steve King Show can get the word out that you are open for business. Don't let the coronavirus crisis put you out of business. Give me a call, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631.
Attention homeowners, this is Scott from Cut by Kilowatts. I'm here to cut your electric bill and save you a lot of money. Perhaps even eliminate your electric bill altogether. We do this by making your entire home energy efficient, by upgrading some or all of the following: roofs, doors, windows, insulating your attic, AC systems and ducts, hot water heaters, and even adding solar. Energy efficient improvements that actually pay for themselves over a short period of time. Our program is designed to make the savings on your electric bill pay for all or part of your low monthly payments. The PACE program is government sponsored and gives you up to 30 years to pay. Requires no credit check, no money down, no income verification, and no payments for up to 18 months. You only need to be current on your mortgage and taxes for the last 3 years to qualify. Energy savings and hurricane solutions made easy. Call 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500 to start saving money now.
Listen to the Steve King Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for...
All right, welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. It's Monday. We are back here live on this Monday morning. Our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-KANE-1. 888-465-2631. We've got a lot of issues on the table today. Brought up quite a few in the last 1 hour and 19 minutes. You're, of course, welcome to call in on any of the issues. The Trump rally in New Hampshire is what we started talking about at 6. Would you attend the Trump rally in New Hampshire on Saturday? There will be a Trump rally. It is outdoors in New Hampshire. I would not go. I'll restate a little bit why I would not go. I was shocked that Richie the bus driver said he would go. But would you go to the Trump rally? And now this terrible story of the murder of this 8-year-old baby in Atlanta, Georgia, that I haven't heard. The mayor of Atlanta, she's doing the right thing. Mayor of Atlanta, doing the right thing. And you know what? The thing about, the mayor of Atlanta is on Biden's short list to be vice president. She says enough is enough to Black Lives Matter because this 8-year-old girl was murdered by Black Lives Matter activists in Atlanta. She's just been disqualified for Biden's team. She was on the short list for Joe Biden, but no more. Think about that. My goodness. Is that a freaky thought? Now, if you're a Democrat out there, what does that say about Biden? Is there any chance that she, the most credible Democrat in America today, which isn't saying much because, this crew of Democrats from Pelosi and Schumer on down, but when a Democrat on the short list, black woman, mayor of a major city, comes out against the activist in her town because it resulted in the murder of an 8-year-old little girl, and that gets her taken off. Now, there hasn't been an official statement that she's off the short list, but come on. How are they going to be able to put somebody on the bottom of the ticket with Joe Biden, who's talking about how Black Lives Matter, enough is enough in Atlanta? Can't happen. Now, if you weren't listening at 6, I'll tell you why I would not go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire on Saturday. And if there was a Trump rally in the community here where I live, even in my neighborhood where he did have one once, I would not go. And the reason is very, very simple. There is so much activism going on among Trump voters against any type of precautions with coronavirus. Okay? And they go so far out of their way that they're reckless. I call them anti-maskers. Now, listen, I have gone about my business doing everything I would normally do in my life. I have not changed one thing in my life because of this, other than I do use hand sanitizer more often than I used to. I wash my hands more often. I do wear masks because it's the law here in town, but I would not go to a Trump rally because of how reckless so many Trump people are being. People that vote for Trump, rightly so, are angry at Fauci. They're angry at everybody for everything that's happened this year. And you have the media now trying to shut down the economy again. You see this happening by Democrats. They're trying to do it here in Florida. There's a big move in Florida to shut down the Florida economy again. Luckily, Ron DeSantis, handpicked by Trump, is said that ain't going to happen. They got a concession from the governor of Texas with a statewide mask mandate, so now they're putting the pressure on Ron DeSantis to do the same, which I really, truly hope he does not do. But in the Democrat communities in Florida, you have mask mandates. At the Trump rally in New Hampshire, masks are not required. Whatever the local rules are, I don't know in New Hampshire, but masks are not required. They are suggested. It's an outdoor rally, and I imagine they haven't said anything about social distancing. And when you saw the Tulsa rally, you saw how many people were wearing masks. Hardly anyone. And being against masks and taking precautions is becoming an activist thing for Trump voters, which I find to be reckless. I was watching the Tulsa rally all day long on Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube. Do you guys watch Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube? I do. When there's a Trump event, I watch Right Side Broadcasting. They go to the events no matter where they are in the country, and they're there all day interviewing Trump people that are just hanging around at the rallies. It's pretty cool. And the commentators, the hosts, whatever you want to call them, on Right Side Broadcasting were wearing masks. And they're on YouTube Live, just like I am, and there's a chat room going on all the time. And they were being ripped beyond imagination by the Trump people in the chat room for wearing masks. I mean, I was watching the chat room during this, and they're wearing masks. And one of the girls that's on Right Side Broadcasting, I don't know any of the Right Side Broadcasting people's names. Maybe you guys know them. I don't know the personalities' names. But one of the girls with Right Side Broadcasting, she addressed it. She took a break and then comes back on camera and addresses it because the chat room was just going nuts. Why are you wearing masks? Take your mask off. Trump people don't wear masks and all this stuff. And she said, I live with my parents. I don't know how old she is. She's in her 20s. She says, I live with my parents. They are older. They're in their 60s. They're high-risk groups. They're in a high-risk group, so I don't wear a mask. I'm sorry, I'm wearing, I misspoke. She says, my parents are in their 60s. I live with my parents. They're in a high-risk age group, so I'm wearing a mask for my parents' safety. Okay? And she addressed the chat room. She leaves. She comes back. She had her mask off. She had her mask off. She caved to the pressure. She didn't want to take her mask off. She took the mask off. And then she went around and they're interviewing people and they're inside the rally where there was no social distancing and all this stuff going on. Unless you were that guy up in the rafters by himself. He was distanced, And as they were going around the Tulsa rally, I don't think I saw them interview a single Trump person who was wearing a mask. Very few people were, and I didn't see them talk to one person who was. And what I find with Trump people is they're not only anti-maskers. Right, you've heard of anti-vaxxers, they're anti-maskers. They go out of their way, in my opinion, to be reckless to prove there's nothing to worry about. Okay? So I think that they get in people's personal space more than they would normally do, just to prove that it's okay for me to be 1 inch from you and talk right next to you and breathe on you and you can breathe on me. I think they take a lot of risks, too many risks, and I would consider it the risks that they take. Now again, I'm asking, would you go to a Trump rally? No one supports Trump more than me. No one. Maybe a lot of people do equally, but I don't think it's possible to be a greater supporter than I am, and I would not go to the Trump rally. I'm asking you if you would go. Our number's 1-888-GO-CANE-1. I would compare, when you go to a place like this, where you have so many people taking incredible risks like this, just to prove Fauci wrong and everything's wrong, there's nothing to worry about, okay? When they're taking that kind of risks, it's like going to a brothel and having sex with prostitutes without protection, without condoms. It's that risky, in my opinion, to go to a rally like this with these anti-maskers who want to prove Fauci wrong and are all up in your personal business, breathing on everyone. Okay? It's risky, and they're reckless, and that's why I would not go. Because they do not take any precautions. I saw the one in Tulsa. I see the way that they react to different things that I see on television as well. I watched the president over the weekend at the 4th of July. When they showed the crowd, I didn't see that many masks there. Did you? What about at Mount Rushmore? What kind of masks did you see at Mount Rushmore? I didn't see too much going on there. And I know there's, and even now I see people in our chat room complaining about the mask. I don't always wear it. But I don't want to be around people that are not taking any precautions whatsoever. It's very high risk. Very high risk. Because of as reckless as they are. So that's why I would not go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire on Saturday. I'm going to watch it on television. Oh yeah, I'm going to watch it. 8 o'clock, Saturday night, outdoor rally, Tulsa, or New Hampshire, Trump. I'll be watching it, but I wouldn't be there. Even if it was in my neighborhood, I would not be there. Would you go? Our number 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call from anywhere. All right, let's take our break for the bottom of the hour and get back. There's more to talk about. All right, my name is Brian Craig. This is The Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back.
Here with my good friend and
Be right
my
back.
attorney, Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Barry, you offer a service called elder law. And since I'm getting up there in years, I'd like to find out exactly what that is and when and if I need it.
Sure, Steve. Elder law, think of it as asset protection. Now, as we age and get into our retirement years, the number one concern or threat to our assets is the cost of long-term care. Care either at home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home can be very, very expensive. And it can eat away at your assets. It can even deplete your assets to nothing. Imagine if you lose all your assets, you have to go into a facility and your spouse at home has nothing left. Or you may end up not having any assets left to leave to your loved ones. So with elder law, we are able to look at different government benefits that may be available to you or your spouse, such as Medicaid or veteran benefits.
Gotta move. I can't do it during the show, but I gotta move my computer where I play the sound bites. It's just a little too far away. Someone moved it over the weekend a little bit.
May not be eligible at this point, become eligible so that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse, and their loved ones.
Well, it sounds like a really great idea. I suggest you call my attorney, Barry Siegel, and he will be glad to set up an appointment and explain everything to you in even more detail. His number, toll-free, 1-855-FLA-3782. Mention that you heard it on the Steve Kane Show.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWNN.
All right, welcome back, one and all. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Well, before we get to the sound bites, let's take a couple of calls. Good morning, you're on the radio. Yes, Doug.
Man, today I think you're way off base. These masks absolutely do nothing.
No, hold on. I'm not talking about masks. I'm talking, would you go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire Saturday night?
I certainly would go without a mask and sit next to somebody. There's no reason.
Really? You go sit next to a stranger who's breathing all over you and everything. Do you know that Kim Guilfoyle tested positive for coronavirus over the weekend?
Anybody can get coronavirus.
Well, do you want to get it, though? Of course, anybody can get it, but do you want to get it? I don't want to get it.
Nothing's going to happen. I know people.
Okay, so I'll put you down. This is interesting thing. So you and Richie the bus driver are in the high-risk population because of your age, and both of you would take the chance and go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire.
I'm trying to bring out, man.
There's no chance. After Tulsa, I heard a whole bunch of Secret Service tested positive. Of course there's a chance. Of course there's a chance.
But not by wearing a mask doesn't help. According to what
It's not just wearing the mask, okay? The Trump people, I'm one of the Trump people, but we don't agree on everything, right? What did Ronald Reagan say? If we agree 80% of the time, this is something I'm going to disagree with. It's beyond the mask. I don't think they use the damn hand sanitizer. I don't think that I think they're in people's personal space too much. You know, I was shocked at Right Side Broadcasting that they were running around sharing a microphone with all the strangers in line all day. It was crazy what they were doing.
It could cause a virus to spread on a microphone if somebody spit on it and then you breathe it.
All right, so you would be there. So you would be not only maskless, you would sit next to strangers with zero social distancing at a Trump rally, and you wouldn't care or be worried. No, that's enough. That's enough. That's good. Okay, so we got two votes for getting crazy and taking risks. Now, some of what went on television over the weekend has gotten way out of control. I mean, you know, 4th of July is one of those holidays that has now been turned into, from the liberal perspective, has been turned into it's like it's a Ku Klux Klan holiday. I mean, some of the coverage over the weekend, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe some of the things I heard. Now, the first one, of course, was CNN's reporter on the scene at Mount Rushmore the other night. And I got to tell you, that Mount Rushmore event was amazing. Seeing Air Force One fly over, watching Marine One fly over the forest, and all, it was exciting. That speech, I believe, was Trump's best. But it seems like every time Trump gives a speech, I say it's the... You know why his speeches, we always say, that's the best, that's the best? Because when he gives a talk like he did at Mount Rushmore, Donald Trump, it's always relevant and up to date with what's going on. And I guess maybe that's why, that's the best, because it's not some stump speech he's given. He's talking about what's going on. So CNN had a woman I've never seen before who should be fired from CNN. She is out Mount Rushmore in the lead up to President Trump's speech at Mount Rushmore. And this is what she says about Mount Rushmore.
The Independence Day weekend, President Trump will be at Mount Rushmore, where he'll be standing in front of a monument of 2 slave owners and on land wrestled away from Native Americans, told that be focusing on the effort to, quote, tear down our country's history.
Wow. So he's going to stand in front of 2 slave owners. Yeah, that's what it's about at Mount Rushmore. This is insane. I would have fired her on the spot for that. Good morning. You're on the radio.
I'm listening about masks, and I'm in a high-risk area. High-risk category. I absolutely would not go.
Okay, now why? Now you're a Trump person, I'm assuming?
Absolutely.
Why would you not go to the rally in New Hampshire Saturday night?
New Hampshire, I wouldn't go to any of them.
Well, why not? Why not?
With a mask, I would not want to be near anyone, even with a mask. Tonight I'm going to a restaurant. All right, there we have to take off the mask. But I'm so aware. I said I don't want people behind me, in front of me.
Okay, now here's the difference. Okay, like I'm going to Walt Disney World this week with my daughter. Okay, because Walt Disney World's reopening, and my daughter got screwed on her birthday because her birthday was in March. Couldn't go out of the house back in March, right? There's a big difference between a restaurant, me going to Walt Disney World this week, and a Trump rally. What's the differences? Restaurant, Disney are the same. Trump rally, what's the difference?
Well, I assume in Disney you can.
Well, okay, I'll tell you the difference. Okay, at Walt Disney World and at a restaurant, right? They're taking all kinds of precautions. There's social distancing. There's sanitation requirements. There's health department guidelines. There's at Walt Disney World, they're drastically reducing the number of people allowed into the park. There's social distancing, and the people that are in a restaurant and that work in a restaurant and the people at Walt Disney World and who work at Walt Disney World are taking all kinds of precautions. There's still a risk. There's always a risk, okay? But they're taking precautions. At a Trump rally, the Trump people, which I'm one, you're one, are going out of their way to not only not take any precautions, but to do things to prove Fauci wrong by being very close, talking in people's face, invading personal space, not washing, not masking, nothing. They're not only not taking any precautions, they're going beyond that to make sure that everyone knows it's safe by invading people's personal space. I saw it when I was watching the Tulsa rally on YouTube. You know, so you got reckless people taking no precautions. So
they should be setting an example, and they should be wearing masks. I would not even want to be that close to people with masks.
Well, I don't want the president to wear a mask. I believe he's taking the hydroxy regularly. There was a new study that came out, by the way, that showed that Trump was right on the malaria drug. Very, very credible study came out over the weekend that shows that it is highly effective. And in fact, they talked about the veterans study. The veterans, where it didn't work, they were on death's door. And it has to be taken early on to be effective. But I think Trump is taking that. And he may be taking some type of vaccine that isn't widely known yet, but he's taking the malaria drug and he's being tested. And I don't want him to wear a mask. But what I'm worried about are these reckless Trump supporters who are taking zero precautions, not taking the malaria drug, and want to prove Fauci wrong, so they're breathing on you all day.
Because they should set an example to the country.
Trump? Oh, you want Trump to wear a mask? You want the president to wear a mask?
I'm saying when the president speaks, he's not in such close proximity to anyone. It's not like a rally or a protest where they're one on top of the other. You know, the president isn't one on top of someone else. You know, he's not that close to anyone, but at rallies, they're one on top of the other.
Yeah, this is what I would like to see the Trump campaign do is give everyone a MAGA mask when they walk in and ask them to wear it. You know, and but there's this anti-masker movement in a situation like that is reckless.
Setting the wrong example, even for the election.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the other radio guys, okay, I am sure all of them are going to say the opposite. Nothing would stop me, you know. They'll be like Lieutenant Dan during the hurricane in Forrest Gump, you know, out on the top of the boat, you know, because I don't think they would go and sit with the regular people. I mean, do you think Hannity, Tucker, and Laura Ingraham and all the rest would go to a Trump rally, not as an honored guest of the president, but like a regular person showing up? Would they take that kind of risk? Of course not.
Oh, at one of the rallies. And the pillow?
Yeah, my pillow guy. He's at all of them. No, but Mike Lindell, he was in Tulsa. I saw him there. He was with the official campaign YouTube feed where they had like a desk and they were outside talking all day. The people that he's with are different than people like you and I that would just show up and go in, right? They're tested. There's social distancing among them. They get a test for fever. They get the coronavirus instant test that we talk about here from Any Lab Test Now, Boca and Coral Springs. So that's different. They're in a protected bubble at that level, okay? In the campaign, I'm talking about regular people just driving to the rally in New Hampshire. They're going to probably take their temperature maybe when they go in.
Say is that I have a former boss who did not even have a fever and had the virus.
Yeah, it can happen. It's not, I'm not one of these snowflakes that's paranoid. Like I said, I'm going to Disney World this week. I go out, I do whatever I would normally do, but these are reckless people. It's like having unprotected sex in a brothel.
That they should be showing the United States, the voting people, that they are doing the proper things and taking the precautions.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your call. All right. All right. Little divide out there. Little divide. Well, I only have one person who agrees with me. Everybody else this morning so far has disagreed with me. Would you go to the Trump rally in New Hampshire Saturday night? 1-888-GO-CANE-1. 888-465-2631. Now, I got to tell you, talking about social distancing and taking all the precautions, Wings Plus, the Sample Road location, is reopened for both takeout and you can eat there as well. They have dining inside and outside. The Sample Road location of Wings Plus closed down for a couple of months for major renovation, and they are open again. And the Wings Plus Sample Road location, they do have social distancing in place, both inside dining and the outside dining. All the sanitary rules are being followed, and masks are required to enter. And of course, the food is just spectacular. There's nothing better than those wings, man. I tell you, I love wings. Usually what I get are the medium hot wings, but I usually divide that between the medium hot and the lemon pepper, which are just incredible. And Wings Plus, the Sample Road location, is about a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road in Coral Springs. And when you stop in, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Radio Show. All right, let's take our break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
3FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9
Steve
FM,
Kane Show.
and AM 1470. WWNN
Hey, hold on.
Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
Hold on, you'll be
This
next.
is
Hold
Lori
on.
Kane,
Hold on.
and I want to tell you about Brighton Dental Care. I just had a lot of work done, and I avoided going to the dentist for a lot of years because I was afraid of the cost. But I went to Brighton Dental for my free consultation, which, by the way, he offers to all Steve Kane listeners. I had 2 cavities, I needed a crown on top and a crown on the bottom. If I were a horse, they would have put me down. So I scheduled my appointment for the next Saturday because Brighton Dental has Saturday appointments available, and they saved me a ton of money. And I will be a patient for life. Don't let cost stop you from taking care of your teeth. Brighton Dental gives Steve Kane listeners incredible discounts on all dental procedures, just like they gave me. Prices are so reasonable, you don't have to worry about the cost. So call Brighton Dental today at 954-922-4633. That's 954-922-4633. You can visit them at brightondental.com and tell them Lori Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for W.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Let's go back to the phones. You are on the radio. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. My name is Debbie. I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, hey, Debbie in Savannah. How you doing?
I've been listening for a good while. I missed you earlier this morning. I just tuned in to hear what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Curious if you had mentioned or if you knew that I remember watching that rally in Arizona.
Yeah, Tulsa.
Like Lindell talking. He was like behind people, coming up to him down on the main floor, yakking with them and chatting with them, and nobody was wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he's a famous guy.
stuff, and I appreciate him a lot, what he does and what he's been through. But it was a little scary to me. I thought, oh, this is...
You know, I'll tell you this. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. You know, this week I'm going to Walt Disney World with my daughter. Right, I mentioned earlier, and I am going on the opening day of Walt Disney World. Yeah, I know, which is exciting. I'm very excited, and it's my daughter's birthday. Since in March, we couldn't leave the house, and she really got gypped on her birthday, which was her 21st birthday. And I know. So anyway, this is going to be a little difficult for me because there's going to be a lot of celebrities at Walt Disney World. And I want to meet them. And I want to meet these celebrities. And I know who some of them are going to be. And there's one in particular who's a very famous YouTuber who I wear a t-shirt of his all the time. His name's Adam the Woo, who is just, I mean, I am like a huge fan of this guy, and I've been wanting to meet him for years. Yeah, and I know a lot of people. Then there's going to be some other celebrities there, and I can't, how am I going to go up and meet a celebrity and take a selfie at this celebrity-studded event? You think any of them are going to let me near them? You know, and the thing is, I'm not a paranoid. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy about precautions. My life, I live it like I normally would. But do you think that do you think that the Trump people at the rallies are reckless?
Well, a little bit, yeah, actually.
Yeah, reckless.
I wanted to ask you, have you heard anything that, I can't think of his name, I've been trying to rack my brain. He's an older black man and he owns the pizza joint.
Yeah, Herman Cain.
Came down with COVID. Now, wasn't he at the rally?
I think he might have been at the rally. But, you know, just because someone has been at the rally and has corona doesn't mean they got it there. But, yeah.
Other people, I mean, that's what I'm...
Yeah. You know, listen... Yeah, Herman Cain. I like Herman Cain a lot. He got, you know, he for all I know, he got it from one of his sugar babies. Remember when we found out he was a sugar daddy?
He wasn't wearing a mask and he was around, you know,
yeah,
the third tier of people from Trump. You know, somebody's bound to get.
Well, you know, this is an interesting thing now. I believe the president has been regularly taking the malaria drug through this entire thing. Well, he talked about one round, but I think he's been taking it. A new study came out on the weekend, a scientific study, a medical study said that it is highly effective. Kim Guilfoyle, Don Jr.'s girlfriend, tested positive for coronavirus right before the Mount Rushmore event. In fact, she was there to be at the event in South Dakota, and she was not symptomatic. She was not symptomatic, they said. Don Jr. doesn't have it. He tested negative. How did so think? I want you to think about this now. No, so, hold on. Oh, well, maybe, but why do you think Kim Guilfoyle, who we know he's sleeping with, has it, and Don Jr. doesn't? Well, I would say that Don Jr. is probably taking something like the malaria drug, perhaps. Well, he's in the first family. Maybe he's a little closer. Maybe there's you know, John Roberts. No, well, you never know. John Roberts, the Fox News White House correspondent, about 8 weeks ago, was caught on camera that he didn't know was on a feed in the White House press briefing room telling someone to take their mask off. And he said, we've all been vaccinated. So what I'm wondering is it possible that the president and top people like Don Jr. and the vice, is there some type of vaccine available that they're taking that's not available to the public yet?
They would be given any kind of vaccine.
Well, I found it interesting. And then, okay, so Don Jr. tested negative. Kim Guilfoyle, who he's sleeping with, tested positive. They drove back to Washington. I guess they didn't want her to fly. They had to drive back. They drove back together, from what I understand, from South Dakota to Washington, D.C. So he's still not afraid of getting it.
She was given the positive. Did she know when she landed?
It was a little vague, but my understanding was she was tested right before the event, and she was there, and the test came back that Kim Guilfoyle, that she had COVID. But Don Jr. tested negative.
Like an immediate, is there a test that people can take now that's pretty much indicative?
Yeah, we have it. We're advertising it at our lab test sponsors. Any lab test now with Boca and Coral. You're in Savannah, but yeah, we're advertising it. You can get the test. You get the results in 15 minutes. Steve and I went and took the test last week. You get the results in 15 minutes, positive or negative. It's $69. Yeah, $69. Yeah, it's a good deal. All right, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Yeah, I thought that was odd because I thought now Don Jr. they say is isolating, but there's no contact closer than what Don Jr. is having with Kim Guilfoyle. There's just, come on. And I by the way, this isn't critical. I love Don Jr. He's the best. I was really upset about it because I was expecting that he might come out and speak and we'd see it on YouTube before his dad showed up. His speeches have been it is accurate, have been so spot on at these last couple events. By the way, any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs, I just tell you a couple things here quick about this COVID testing, the coronavirus testing they do. Someone in my family and their spouse has tested positive for coronavirus. I haven't. They live here in Florida, but I haven't seen them in 4 or 5 years, so I have no contact. And someone in the family called me up on Friday and told me that they tested positive for coronavirus. And my first question was, when is the last time you saw them? And then we went through a list. We did our own little family contact tracing, and no one that I would come into contact with has been around them in a long time. So that's good news. But this is what they told me. I couldn't believe. They, last weekend, they were feeling a little symptomatic, and they went Monday to one of the public testing places where they stick the thing up your nose that goes back by your eye. And they got the results back sometime on Thursday, which was 4 days later, and they got the positive results back. Now, during those 4 days, were they isolating? No, going about doing whatever it is they do. And they waited now they're isolated, but they had 4 days where they weren't, because they didn't have, they thought maybe, but everybody gets the cold, and I'll just wait, and then but they spend 4 days going around their business like, If you go to any lab test now of Coral Springs, or any lab test now of Boca, they do the on-the-spot testing. You get the results in 15 minutes or less. Steve and I went with his son last week, and we, all three of us, had the coronavirus on-the-spot testing. We got our results in 15 minutes, all negative. Thank you. And so if you, and the test is only $69. It's a great deal. So if you suspect, if you're symptomatic, don't go and wait in line for hours and hours, and then have that thing stuck up your nose back to your eye and wait days and days and days going around all over the place. Go to any lab test now at Coral Springs. Go to any lab test now at Boca. Get the results on the spot. Someone I know was sick with something else, not even cold flu related. They went to work. They sent them home. They said, you got to go get tested. So they're going over to any lab test now of, I think they're going to the Coral Springs location. Someone I know, I gave them both locations. I think they'll probably go to Coral Springs over by the Coral Square Mall off University in Ramblewood. But they're going today to get the on-the-spot coronavirus testing. You get the results in 15 minutes right there on the spot so they can take the proof to work so that they can work. So they don't have to miss a day of work. And you can stop in before work, after work, go over on your lunchtime. It's that quick. All right. So any lab test now of Coral Springs, if you'd like to give them a call, their number 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any lab test now of Boca, their phone number 561-237-5009. Both listed at SteveKaneShow.com. Remember, there are lots of Any Lab Test Nows, but only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. That's Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs and Any Lab Test Now of Boca Raton. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio. We'll be right back after this.
FM 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
The Steve Kane Show is brought to you by attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group. Avoid probate with a revocable living trust. $350 for single people, $450 for married couples. When you complete your trust with attorney Barry Siegel, he will give you a $100 gift certificate to Tavolino Italian Restaurant in Coral Springs. The Siegel Law Group, with offices throughout Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782.
This
Be
is
right
Steve
back.
Kane, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts about why I chose the Gardens of Boca Raton to be my final resting place. I have always been uncomfortable with thoughts of death and dying, but the very first time that I visited the Gardens of Boca Raton, I could feel my apprehensions vanish. Just knowing that I'd be spending eternity with my family in such magnificent surroundings lifted my spirits. The Gardens of Boca Raton is an all-faith, above-ground cemetery with tranquil surroundings, a place where your loved ones can come and visit you time and time again, remembering and celebrating your life. The gardens have caring professionals available to help you in your time of need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pre-need with 0% financing is available and prevents your family from having to deal with these matters at the time of their grief and sorrow. The Gardens of Boca Raton, dedicated to all those who have lived and all those who live today. Let the Gardens take care of your family as they are taking care of my family. Schedule a tour today. Call 877-PLAN-561 or online at thegardens.com. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. On the radio since 1977, I tell you. We got a lot of jerks in this audience. We really do. But anyway, welcome back. Third hour has begun. A lot of good people, too. But a lot of jerks, Third hour has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Okay, so over the weekend, this is a big holiday weekend, okay? Big holiday weekend, 4th of July weekend. Sadly, 4th of July fell on the weekend, so we didn't get a 3-day weekend out of it, But when it comes to news, the regular people take off, and they have fill-in people all weekend long. And the fill-in people that they put on television over the weekend on the cable news were some of the most angry, militant people I've ever seen hosting programs. These are people you would have on as a kooky guest. It was like they took people off. It would be like Jerry Springer took a week off and let all those crazy guests host instead of him. They had just nutcase after nutcase hosting all the shows, especially MSNBC. But CNN was pretty brutal too. And I want to go through some of the audio from the weekend. I'm having difficulty. I moved some things around before the show here in the studio, and I moved things around in a way where I can't reach all the equipment. So I got to move things back after the show. So I can't do it. So if you hear me off mic, it's just because I moved some things, and I'm having a hard time reaching everything. If I had longer arms, I'd be okay. But that's not going to happen. I'm done growing. Joy Reid is probably one of the most militant racist people on television. And she's pretty nasty. And she's moving on now. They're giving her a 5-day-a-week show, and her weekend show is kind of up for grabs. So I think they're doing some auditioning for Joy Reid's MSNBC weekend show. And they had a woman on who I've never seen nor heard of before. And I think she's going to get it. I think she's going to get it because she said some crazy stuff, which I'll play for you in a moment, very militant. She makes Joy Reid sound reasonable, which says a lot. Yeah. And this clip I'm going to play of her is all over Twitter going viral. So she was a big hit with her militancy over the weekend. This is the fill-in host for Joy Reid talking about the president at Mount Rushmore.
Trump chose the most grandiose symbol of U.S. imperialism on Earth to usher in a very on-brand star-spangled spectacle. Complete with fireworks and military flyovers, it was Trump's predictable way of throwing red meat to his base. The cult-like following he so desperately needs at the ballot box as he tanks in the polls.
Okay, these fake polls we were talking about, where Biden, the closest poll has Biden up five points. Yes, let's talk some truth.
Isn't exactly the innocent ode to our founding fathers as described in our textbooks. And it's high time we disrupt that false narrative that far too many people believe.
It's not enough that we're going to do this in sacred lands of Lakota people.
I love how the liberals talk, the Lakota Indians, and this isn't the only guy I saw doing this over the weekend. The liberals, whenever they say Lakota, they do it with what is really a racist thing to do. They try to have like a Native American accent. Listen to this guy when he says Lakota for the Lakota Indians, how he says Lakota.
It's not enough that we're going to do this in sacred lands of Lakota people.
See how he says it? Lakota. Boy, can you be any more racist than to attempt to mock the way you think Indians talk? You know what I mean? That's so racist. It kind of reminds me of when you're watching, like if you watch AOC, speaks English with a perfect American accent. I see this a lot on the Miami news stations. Speaks English with a perfect American accent until they get to a Spanish name, and then all of a sudden they have a Spanish accent. You know what I mean? This guy here, but anyway, it goes on here, listen.
It's not enough that we're going to do this in sacred lands of Lakota people.
Welcome, Croatia.
And a place
Lakota
that's been marked by, it's been polluted. It's been desecrated by putting these slave-owning, racist, horrible, horrible white men in 60-foot statues on this wall. His spectacle, it's kind of what we expect from Donald Trump. It's a clown show. And, hopefully we send this clown back to the circus so maybe he can get eaten by a lion.
Uh-oh, did MSNBC break the law there? I don't think that's something you can say on national television or anywhere else that he just said there at the end. I'm not going to repeat it. Did you hear that? Oh, my goodness, MSNBC. Better watch what they're saying. So anyway, I find it so interesting that this woke guy here is doing this fake Native American accent. And where he says Lakota, the way he says it, do you know where he gets that fake Native American accent? From watching the old Indian movies where Indians were played by white guys, right? Like, Jeffrey Hunter and people like that. So, so that's it. And by the way, this new person that's on MSNBC, the woman here, her name is Tiffany Cross. And she's at either Harvard or Yale. She's at one of the big Ivy Leagues. She's talking a little bit about the 4th of July. Listen, MSNBC.
And so here we are, celebrating the birth of a nation, independence for white men, at a site described by one Native American activist as, quote, a symbol of white supremacy. Trump choosing Mount Rushmore for a 4th of July campaign stop is just like when he chose Tulsa, the site of the 1921 massacre against Black Americans, for his Juneteenth weekend rally.
Okay. Now, this thing in Tulsa, I keep hearing reference to this, that this massacre that happened in Tulsa back in the 1920s. I guess the Democrats did something pretty bad back then. Since Trump had his Tulsa rally, I have heard about this Tulsa massacre from the 20s at least 75 times referenced in the liberal media. I have never heard of this massacre in my entire life. I heard it for the first time the night of the Tulsa rally, and it was hardcore the next day. Had any of you ever heard of this massacre that happened in Tulsa back 100 years ago, by the way, in the 1920s, before Trump's Tulsa rally? I never heard of it. And then they act as if Trump chose Tulsa because of this event that no one heard about in the 1920s. Let's see what else she has to say.
Full, tired, and familiar jab to Black, brown, and indigenous people that makes the shrinking MAGA voter feel as big as a 60-foot face of a colonizing slave owner.
Oh, wow. By the way, Washington and Jefferson, they were slave owners, but they were not colonizers. They were both born in British America. So George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were Native Americans. That's right. That's right. That's why they were both presidents. Only people that are natural-born U.S. citizens can be president. That's why Alexander Hamilton couldn't be one, because he was born in the Caribbean. That's what we're all talking about Alexander Hamilton these days, because of the play that's out. Oh, my goodness. I think she's locked it up. I think she's got the job. I think now that Joy Reid is moving to 5 days a week and her weekend show is over, I think she was just militant enough to get the job. Because she obviously was auditioning. I mean, Tiffany Cross is her name. We'll all know it because she's going to get it. There's no doubt she's going to get the job. She was going out of her way She was going out of her way. But, you know, this thing at Mount Rushmore just caused a complete media meltdown over the weekend. So let's see here. What else? Oh, yes. This is the New York Times. This is a writer from the New York Times.
Sometime you've covered the White House. Clearly, he wants to leave the outbreak behind him, even as the numbers rise. Is there anyone in that building who is telling him honestly, directly, that he can't do that?
There are many people who are telling him that, honestly, Jim. I think what has become clear to people, or should have by now, is this president wants to govern a certain way and wants to run his re-election effort a certain way, and that does not relate to talking about the coronavirus unless it's about describing his administration's response in glowing terms that just don't comport with reality, certainly for the first many weeks as the pandemic was growing. The president wants to have culture wars, he wants to fight on white grievance, and he wants to have a discussion around race that he thinks appeals to his base of supporters, and he has resisted all suggestions that he do it a different way.
Okay, that's the New York Times, you know, Trump's favorite newspaper, right? Okay, so he's the one who's responsible for the racial discussions that are going on. It's the Democrats that have started this entire fake discussion going on about the monuments and the flag and different holidays and the Black National Anthem at the NFL. This is all things that have been done by the left. But now it's Trump. See, this is an interesting thing because that was CNN that the New York Times writer was on over the weekend. See, what's going on here now is they realize, especially after this 8-year-old black girl was murdered by activists in Atlanta over the weekend, this pulling down of statues, setting up autonomous zones, and all these other things is backfiring on them. The people have no sympathy for it. So now they're trying to make these Trump demonstrations, that Trump's doing this, Trump's behind it, Trump supporters are behind it, not them. They're trying to distance themselves from all of this because they know that these spoiled babies that that were in Seattle, now they're in New York, and we saw what happened in New York over the weekend, lots of violence. that the American people have no tolerance for this. So they're trying to distance themselves away from that and act as if Trump's people are the ones with all the racial talk that's going on in this country. Not at all. What Trump and his people like to talk about is how great the economy did last month with 4.8 million new jobs created. All right, listen, let's take our first break of the last hour. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. All right, my name's Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll take our break and be right back.
And I'm here chatting with Dr. Troy Lemaski, my personal chiropractor. Dr. Troy, how are you today?
Doing well, Steve.
Chiropractic is an art. All the nerves in your body go through your spine. If your spine's out of line, the nerves get pinched. And of course, you're going to have all kinds of symptoms and all kinds of pain as a result of that. And until you get that spine realigned, you're going to be in pain.
100% correct. If you have a joint, especially in your back, that's stuck, that's not moving properly, it will put pressure not only possibly on nerves, but more of the time on soft tissue structures such as the ligaments, the muscles, and it will create pressure. There are nerves within the joint called mechanoreceptors, and it will affect the actual nerves that are in the joint. Pinched nerves are very common, and they do come from spinal misalignment, but not everybody that has a problem has a pinched nerve.
I've been seeing you for a relatively short period of time, and you have the healing touch, I'll tell you that. When I walk out of your office, I feel like a whole new person. I know you take great care of everybody, but I know you're going to go that extra mile for our wonderful Steve Kane listeners. Doctor, give them the number of the office where they can make an appointment.
It's Coast Chiropractic Injury and Wellness Center, and the phone number is 954-463-3036. 954-463-3036. We're located in East Fort Lauderdale. We're just one block east of US 1 and Oakland Park Boulevard, right off Middle River Drive. The address is 2510 East Oakland Park Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale.
Dr. Troy Lemaski, a great healer. Make an appointment today.
Listen to The Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name's Brian. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Now, after the show Friday, Steve and I, we went over to Champaign Automotive Repair in Boca. Steve was picking up his Toyota van. And, Champaign Automotive Repair, they do incredible work. But they don't just do mechanical work. They do body work as well. Steve had some body work done on his van. And he had to get a new bumper put on the front of the car and some other cosmetic work. And they did a spectacular job. In fact, when we pulled up and we saw the van waiting, it amazed me because this van's not new. This van's very old. I could not believe how well they matched up the paint job on the bumper to the rest of the vehicle. It was absolutely amazing. Now listen, Champaign Automotive Repair in Boca, they will never perform an auto repair on your vehicle that it does not need, okay? My car's having a new radiator put in it, and I'm getting new brakes and rotors put on my Ford Explorer, which is 17 years old with 180,000 miles. And, you take a car like that. Quick experience I had before we found Champaign Automotive. This is a new gimmick that a lot of garages are doing. Listen to this one, Steve. This one blew my mind. I went into, this was, I don't know, last time I took this car in to get a repair, so this about a year or so ago, before we knew about Champaign Automotive Repair, took it to another shop in Boca, actually. The passenger window motor broke in the window, and the window was stuck down, so I went over to an auto shop and said my window won't go back up, the motor's burned out in it, and they said, okay. They said, we charge $75 to diagnose your vehicle. I'm like, what, $75 to diagnose my vehicle? I'm going to pay you to fix it. I'm going to pay you to fix it. Oh, well, no, but listen, the prices at Champaign Automotive Repair are out of this world affordable. They will never do a repair that your vehicle does not need, and they give you that concierge service without that price. So listen, give them a call. No matter where you are within our listening range, it is well worth it, okay, to make the trek, no matter where you are, to Champaign Automotive Repair, because they are very good at what they do, and they are honest. 561-245 8101.
Eddie and Eddie.
Yeah, 561-245-8101. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. All right, now, this next clip here, the Democrats are on a big revisionist history kick. And, you know, I've been talking about this a lot. They're not... There's a few things in play here, okay, with the statues and the revisionist history. One of it is more immediate. Let's try to get black people angry enough to vote Democrat instead of for Trump, like they did last time and are expected to do this time. But in the long game that they're playing here, they're taking down, with rare exceptions, because these lunatics go around, they take down Frederick Douglass over the weekend, right, and Christopher Columbus. Most everything that they take down, remove, or rename is a Democrat. They're trying to rewrite the history of the Democrat Party because they've had this big switch lie going on for like the last 30 years that one day Republicans and Democrats who cannot agree that the daytime is the daytime and the nighttime is the nighttime got together and said, you know what, we're Democrats, we're the good people, and we're going to be Republicans. And that they switch party names just like that, you know, that's the big switch. And Dinesh D'Souza, who went to prison for this, he was a political prisoner, and one of his movies exposed the big lie, okay? By the way, D'Souza has a new movie coming out. I don't know anything about it, but I saw he's got a new movie coming out. So the Democrats were sitting around with Pelosi and Schumer and all the rest and saying, you know, we got creamed. So many blacks voted for Trump last time. All our internal polling, not the fake polls we show on TV, show that he's winning a huge chunk of the black vote in this election. What can we do? And someone said, well... we can pull Black Lives Matter out and we can exploit some things in the news. And while we're doing that, let's start the war on statues again, because what's happened is African Americans are realizing that we're the party of the slave owners. By the way, Thomas Jefferson, they were taking issue with at Mount Rushmore. You didn't hear anybody tell you this on TV over the weekend. Thomas Jefferson is the founder of the Democrat Party. Okay, who they're calling a slave owner all day. He was, but, you know, they want him off Mount Rushmore. He's the founder of the Democrat Party, Thomas Jefferson. But anyway, they're trying to wipe out their own history of the Democrat Party. And they figure one of the reasons they're losing the black vote is black people are learning the racist history of their party. This audio, most people would not get this. This is PBS, public broadcasting over the weekend. They're talking about everything that's going on, and there's, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's at the end, and then I'll tell you after.
Wild says the bigger picture is that Trump is using race to stoke fear, like many Republican leaders before him.
I think the idea of appealing to white resentment and white fears, drawing on a particular understanding of America as fundamentally white, that language has been a part of Republican strategy since I remember remembering, right? It's been a part of my political reality ever since I became aware of American politics. So he sits somewhere in the spectrum between Ronald Reagan and George Wallace.
Okay, Trump sits somewhere on the spectrum between George Wallace and Reagan. What PBS is doing here, this is more revisionist history, right? George Wallace was not just a Democrat. He was the governor of Alabama, wasn't he? He is one of the most prominent Democrat segregationists in our history, certainly in the modern history. Isn't he the one that said segregation now, segregation forever?
I believe so.
Yeah. So PBS is implying that Democrat George Wallace was a Republican. Trump Republican, Ronald Reagan a Republican. They use George Wallace in the same breath and explanation. There's so much revisionism going on here. And it's all about trying to not let blacks learn that their party is the one that was the party of all these racist things. And it's very subtle, but it's happening more and more each and every day. All right, well, Steve's joining us here. What's going on?
It was amazing. I stayed up late last night watching PBS, of all things.
That's where that came from.
They had I wonder if is it from the same...
I don't know what you were watching.
Well, it was a PBS special.
Okay.
And I was amazed to find that it was as even-handed as it was. They had no problems basically pointing out that everybody, all the bad guys they were going on about were all Democrats. And the Democratic Party was basically the white supremacist party in those days.
Yeah.
And then...
Now, it wasn't this special. It wasn't this thing I got off of then. It was something else.
No, actually, the one I watched was pretty fair.
Yeah.
And, by the way, just not to change the subject for a minute, I want you to tell me the truth, all right? I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, here we go. Here's the setup.
Straight from the heart. And I want you to promise me will you promise me you'll tell the truth?
I always do.
If I walked in, let's change Disney. Let me ask you a question. Do I have a thing like you have with Disney? Is there something I have that I relate to that I'm fanatic about? Like you have
Your
with
gambling
Star
addiction.
Wars?
But you don't. That's something you just do at home. You don't go to casinos. You're not at the games too much.
All right, whatever. Especially after the.
You're talking about me going to Walt Disney World this week? Opening day.
Why would you say?
Guys, I could tell you were leading up to it. That's why I mentioned it on the air today. I figured you'd take issue with it.
Why would you? How did you know that I'd be? Why would I be upset?
Oh, I knew it would trigger you.
Well, why would I be upset?
I don't
What's there
know.
to be upset about?
I don't know.
Here I am, 80 years old or whatever it is, in a high-risk group.
Yeah.
I got a partner here that I depend on and that I count on, and my life is in the balance here. And you're so crazy with this Disney thing that you're going to risk my life.
I'm not risking anyone's life. I'm not risking anyone's life.
I want calls on this. I want calls on this.
Yeah.
I want to know if I'm crazy. You have no idea what Brian puts me through. And if he thinks I'm a little sick or doing something a little wrong, he'll call me. You can't do that. I think I got a second mother here. By the way, some of that I appreciate because you give me some.
No, I'll tell people. Okay, there was one.
outrageous.
A couple months back, a very good longtime friend of ours passed away. Todd, who has been on the cruises with us, and those of you on the cruises know. And neither of us said it was unfortunate when.
By the way, do you know who Lisa is from the cruise?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't go to Todd's funeral. And you were going to go, and I told you you cannot go. You cannot go.
Yeah, right. I can't go to my best friend's funeral.
Yeah. And I didn't go either. I was very good friends with Todd. And
you weren't friendly with him, like, oh.
I was good friends with him. But the thing about that is, first off, that was early on in this crazy pandemic time. Okay? We didn't know what was going on then. We didn't know what the future was. And I told you, I said, the thing about the funeral, okay, that because we didn't know everything, we didn't have the testing that we have available now or any of this stuff. This was before social distancing as we know it was in effect. This was before masks were in effect. And I told you, I said,
they had masks.
it was early. It was in the no. It was in the early days. And I told you about the funeral. This. When you go to a funeral, and again, this was a couple months ago. We're not where we're at today, okay? So it's a different time.
What are you talking about?
This was like 2 or 3 months ago,
Yes.
Todd's funeral.
The country has changed in 2 or 3 months?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's changed?
Yeah. Well, we have better testing. We know more about it. The coronavirus is... But let me finish why I said don't go to the funeral 3 months ago, which is different than Disney World today. I said everyone at the funeral, his family will be there. His family spent a couple months every day in the hospital with him. He was in one of the hospitals where they're taking all the coronavirus people in Broward County. So they were an extra high risk of exposure for being in the hospital for months, at a hospital where they were taking most of the coronavirus people in Broward. Very risky.
I told you that what I would do, I was going to attend the outdoor service, the final...
Yeah, this was 2 or 3 months ago.
Right. And what I told you I would do is that I would stay on the edges, not talk to anybody, not shake
I didn't stop you from going. You're free. You're free, white and 21.
You put me on such a guilt trip.
It wasn't just me. Lori and others. It wasn't just me.
Forget Lori. We're not talking about Lori.
This was... No. She agreed. It was not just me, and I didn't stop you from going anywhere. I told you shouldn't do it.
Well, I feel right now like you felt then.
No, you just don't want me going to Disney World. But
Why would I care if you went to Disney World?
Because you always get aggravated that I go to Disney World. Now, the thing about Disney World that is different is there's a lot of things that are different.
Everything is different. And again, it was 2 months ago, too.
It was, there's the big difference between then and now. And now, okay, and I'll, and some of the differences are this. We're in a different, it's not ridiculous. We're in a different place now. We know more.
No, you don't, because I called you last week with an article from the Enquirer that had a feature, what are the 10 most likely places to go to get sick, and right at the head of the list was public amusement parks.
Universal Studios Orlando has been open for over a month. They've been open maybe 2 months, close to 2 months. As has Busch Gardens Tampa has been open. SeaWorld has been open.
So you're telling me that
there have been no outbreaks. And
you're telling me if I had come to you and said that I was going to go up to, I don't know, I don't.
You're different than me.
Yeah, I listened to what you said.
No. You don't take the precautions I take.
What precautions? Go to the number one risk place, Disney, probably the center of the
Walt
planet.
Disney World's Magic Kingdom on opening day.
If you wanted to catch the virus,
no, big difference.
You couldn't
This
find
isn't
a better place to go.
this isn't Disney World from before this.
This is sanitized.
No, yeah, it is. They're drastically limiting the number of people that are allowed into the park. That's number one. I was lucky to score the admittance for my daughter and myself. They are taking incredible amounts of social distancing and sanitation guidelines in place. You've got to wear masks. It's Orange County, Florida. I'm not going to touch anything or anyone. I'm going to be with my daughter. I'm not even staying.
You sound like me when I was pleading.
By the way,
when I was pleading to go to Todd's funeral.
That was different. I stopped you.
It was different.
It was different because it was a few months ago dealing with a group. Steve, you're not going to go to a funeral and stay 6 feet away from everybody.
It wasn't a funeral. It was the final burial.
Yeah. There's no way. People are all closed down. You could have gone. I didn't stop you. I didn't go, and I told you I wouldn't go if I were you. But I didn't stop you. Did I take your keys away? Did I?
Oh,
Did I come to your house and block your vehicle in the driveway?
All this emotional crap. Anyway.
If it was today,
I want to hear what the audience says.
if it was today, I'd say go.
Tell me I'm wrong.
If it was today, I'd say go.
Oh, sure you would.
Yeah, but you don't take the precautions I take. You're not as careful as I am.
Careful, you're going to Virus Central up in Central Florida.
I'm taking precautions. I'm taking precautions.
Anyway, tell it to the audience. 1-888-GO-CANE. When we have to take a break here at the bottom. When we get back, I want to get feedback from the audience. I'm on this little project we have lately in the 8 to 9 hour. I'm trying to get.
Oh, we got to hurry. Running late.
I'm trying to turn callers into listeners into callers.
Yeah.
1-888-GO-CANE1 KANE. We'll be back with your calls after this.
Paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate, where they have all the major brands like Goodyear and Firestone at discount prices that absolutely
Steve Kane Show.
Steve Kane's tires for his Toyota van at the other shops, $175 a tire. At Friendly Tire, just $75 a tire. That's a $100 savings per tire.
Richard Pearl, but I gotta call him. Just wait.
$35 at the shops around town. The price of
Just
Friendly
wait.
Tire, only $65. That's a $70 savings per
Just
tire.
wait.
These prices are out the door and on the road.
Richard Pearl.
Mounting and balancing and no added charges. Friendly Tire has a great selection of good used tires too, starting at just $30 for most cars. Call my good buddy Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. Tell him what you drive and he will give you a great low price right over the phone at 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
Hey there, hold on.
Online, friendlytire.net.
Just wait. We're coming back, but we're going to be off on Thursday, but back on Friday. All right. Just to give you a heads up. All right. Yeah, Richard Pearl. Richard Pearl.
Including long-term care benefits. Call attorney Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group and find out what benefits are available to you. With offices in Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale, call toll-free 1-855-FLA-3782. 1-855-FLA-3782. 82.
Listen to The Steve Cage Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for WWN.
And in this time of stress and trial that we are going through, with the virus and all that good stuff, the one you want to talk to with any questions you have, man will tell you it's easier to prepare your immune system and not have to worry about all these things. Richard Pearl from Simply Natural. Richard, how are you doing?
Good. I'm thankful for good perspective. I was watching television this morning, waiting to come on, and it's really pathetic. Everyone is so tired. The world comes to an end. But not just really bad, something owned by many things, including Fox, unfortunately. So I looked at the numbers of people dying in Singapore and Texas, and also the total number of cases. So here's the deal. In Florida, before 24, when the spike took place, we had 88,008 cases. Now we have, 112,158. We had 88,008 cases. That's an increase of 78.5% in cases in that period of time. Before the spike, we had a death in Florida of 1,330 people. If we had projected that out at a 17.5% increase, we should have had another projected death rate of 2,536 since the spike. 2,536 should have been dead since the spike. Guess what the number was? 492. 19.4% of what it should have been. Should have had 2,530 dead for the state of Florida based on the cases. Instead, we had 492. Again, 19.4%.
Well, the deaths have been down. I mean, that's the good news, but they don't want to tell you the good news.
At 91,380 deaths before June 16th of 85. Since then, they've added 109,572 for a total of 120% increase in cases since June 16th when they expired. But they had at the time 2,016 deaths. But death is based on the amount of cases increase. They should have added another 2,400.
Wow. Wow.
So the point of it is, cases don't equal death. Cases don't equal serious illness. The people getting sick are 18 to 35. I've dealt with a lot of people, not just that, but all the things I get them experience. The average whether I'm helping or other people are when they go from symptoms to no symptoms, those are fast. They're truthful, but people are being very, very effort, and they don't allow to believe that the world is falling apart or the United States is. Notice one other thing. Europe, because of the back to school, they're resuming their lives. They don't have elections. That's a big part of it.
Well, obviously a lot of this is politics. For those that want to get more information, Richard, tell them where you're located and how to call you.
First of all, I'm not John, I don't etc. I'm just here to help. You can reach us at Simply Natural at 954-741-4045, 954-741-4045, Rosen 7 week from 11 to 9 p.m. on the northeast corner of Sunset Strip and University Drive. The store's called Simply Natural, the restaurant's called Simply Natural Cafe. Thank you guys for listening.
You take care, my friend. We'll speak tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, don't forget Richard's show Wednesday at noon or 11 a.m. on Wednesdays on our station. All right, PJ, you're on the radio.
Just reflecting what the guy said about the states that rate thing. The United States is very, very steep rock. In fact, yesterday it was the total deaths in the United States was the last death was only.
Oh, I can't say, but I got to jump in here because we're what is it they say in the weeds? We're in the weeds here. Let me take the ball out of the weeds. Do you agree that with the Inquirer that said that the number one place to go if you want to get the virus is an amusement park or a theme park like Disney, or do you disagree with it? I mean, not that it has to be the most. In other words, if your life depended on it, well, okay, but I'm in the position where my life does depend on it. No, Brian will go catch it for me, and
I'm not going to catch anything. Not going to catch anything.
I'm not worried about that. Actually, that's an idea.
I'll get tested next week at any lab test now. I'll go on Monday at any lab test now with Boca.
Before the show,
I'll go Monday. Well, then, and we're social distancing here, and we don't share mics, by the way. With all that being said, we don't share mics. We're social distanced. We're far away. But, regardless of all these things. See, this thing with Todd's funeral was before we knew what we know now. You were going back in time 2-3 months, Steve.
I'm going back last week's Inquirer.
Well, the Inquirer, is that a new medical journal I'm not familiar with?
You and I
the National Park Medical Journal?
Years, the Inquirer is a staple of
what,
two-way talk and of the Steve King
but it's
show over the
what
years,
they're talking about.
They're very, very accurate most of them.
See, Steve doesn't want me to leave my house, But anyway, PJ and Steve, the National Enquirer are talking about the old Disney. There's going to be just a handful of people in the park. It's a very limited engagement. It is, and they're also taking incredible precautions. I'm going there for a special preview. If this were like a normal day at Disney, I would not go. In fact, when they open up for regular admittance, I may not go. This is a special event that I'm going to. Okay, and it's not a handful of people.
After they open up?
Well, I wouldn't want to be in a crowd like the old Disney World right now, but this is not going to be that.
Well, you have no idea.
No, I know. I don't know how many people are going to be there, but it's not going to be.
It only takes one.
Okay, well, then I guess I won't leave my house. Is that what you're saying? Wait, PJ, you called in before all this. What made you pick up the phone and call?
No, the reason is because, for the last 2 weeks, they've been hiking.
Well, let me ask you this. I was talking to a call about this earlier. Over the weekend, it came out that Kim Guilfoyle tested positive for coronavirus at Mount Rushmore, yet Don Jr. tested negative. How is he negative and she's positive when they're sleeping together every day?
Maybe there are issues we don't know about.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's one of the possibilities. In fact, a lot of the health professionals are saying that the virus is weaker than it was.
Oh, just in time for the opening. How convenient.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I appreciate the call, PJ. That's why when you watch the coronavirus numbers disappeared from the cable news for a while, and then they came back because they wanted to detract people away from what is going on with these protests and everything that's going on. But what PJ is saying is right on the money. It's the same thing that Richard Pearl was talking about. The death rate is almost not even measurable in the country anymore.
It's all an age thing.
It's not.
It's now hit. I heard in trying to get this straight. In the state of Washington, up in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
That it went through a frat house or something like this, and like 100% of the people got it.
40.
That's because they're all doing each other. To get back to my
in the frat house.
That I was.
It was a gay fraternity. I know, I'm just kidding because you said the frat. But yeah.
You didn't see Animal House.
Yeah, I saw. Well, 40% of the deaths have been in nursing homes in this country. 40%, and in some communities it's even higher than that, which is really a sad thing, and it tells you how things got to change. That's why you don't want to have to go to. Sometimes people have no choice to go to a nursing home, but you want to avoid it at all costs if you can in the future, because that was just, I mean, that's really a tragedy, you know, and it's really coming out because of Cuomo's mismanagement of sending people back to nursing homes in New York when it was all happening.
Not exactly spinning it that way.
They can spin it all day, but it's something that's going to stick with him forever.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. It's really sad what's been going on. Did you see this thing where the Black Lives Matter activist killed the 8-year-old girl in Atlanta?
Yes.
Some about it earlier. I mean, my
horrible
goodness.
story.
You know, I was talking now. The mayor of Atlanta, who's a black woman and a Democrat, she was on Joe Biden's short list.
Yeah.
Now she's come out and said, enough is enough, stop this because of this murder of this girl. You think she's off the list now?
No, I think she might have gone to the top.
She came out and told Black Lives Matter to stop. She said enough is enough.
That may be what Biden needs.
But will they take that advice? Because, you know, this...
If Biden's going to do whatever they tell him to do.
I don't think the Democrats are smart enough to do that. Because, you know, this what happened in Atlanta with this 8-year-old girl, and by the way, she was murdered, she was black, there were multiple shooters. The activists set up their own barricade near the Wendy's, like they were doing in Seattle. The mother drove past the barricade and that's when the shots ran off and killed this 8-year-old little girl, which is really just god awful. And I disagree with you. I think she will be off the list, not officially, but I don't think she's any longer being considered as a running mate for Biden because she told them enough is enough, knock out these protests, because they won't go against. Look how upset they get if someone says all lives matter.
They're coming down to the nitty gritty here. Basically, the only card they have left is whoever the vice president's going to be, to make a smart decision to counterbalance the terrible leftward weight of the ticket.
You think they want to counter the left?
The left has pushed them to where they're not going to win an election this so far.
But do they know it? Because these protests around the country are pretty hardcore.
The people that are going to have input on this issue know it.
I don't agree with that. If they thought that was true, they wouldn't be pushing for the Black National Anthem at the football games. Before the national anthem.
I wish you hadn't brought that up.
Lift Every Voice is the song.
Lift Every Voice. They're going to lift me right out of my seat for any future football games if they do that. Don't make me give up my football. There are very few things.
Well, you know what I wonder? There's this interesting thing.
I mean,
that's
so outrageous.
This would be one of the things. They will carry that on television, I bet you. Typically, they wouldn't carry that on TV. They only carry the anthem during, like, bowl games.
And, of course, when Trump... Well, you know what I think this is? I think it's a trap for Trump.
What? To come out against the Black National Anthem?
You know he's going to.
Yeah.
Hey, the day after the election, or probably the month after the election, we'll know who was right, but, I mean...
Well, somebody in the chat made a good point. What if someone took a knee during the Black National Anthem? Oh, my goodness. Someone might, and I'll tell you why. Out of instinct, because they're playing the song and they're in a habit of taking the knee when the song happens. Someone might take a knee when they start it.
It's getting way too complex. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back with the Gold Report and William Youngerman right after this.
This is Lori Kane, and I want to tell you about Brighton Dental Care. I just had a lot of
What?
work done, and I avoided going to the
I did that
dentist for a lot
whole
of
first
years
part of the
because I
show.
was afraid
Yeah.
of the cost.
I can't, you
But I
know.
went to Brighton Dental
A little
for
bit
my
here and
free
there, yeah.
consultation, which, by the way, he offers to all Steve Kane listeners. I had 2 cavities. I needed a crown on top and a crown on the bottom. If I were a horse, they would have put me down. So I scheduled my appointment for the next Saturday because Brighton Dental has Saturday appointments available, and they saved me a ton of money. And I will be a patient for life. Don't let cost stop you from taking care of your teeth. Brighton Dental gives Steve Kane listeners incredible discounts on all dental procedures, just like they gave me. Prices are so reasonable, you don't have to worry about the cost. So call Brighton Dental.
Just wait till after. I don't know what you're...
952-4630.
Lori said she's taking care of it.
954-922-4630.
Yeah, she'll take care of it.
You can visit them at brightondental.com and tell them Lori Kane sent you.
If you suffer with diabetes, there's a 25% chance that you'll develop a foot ulcer that can lead to severe health consequences, including amputation. At the sole authority, at little or no cost, you can receive your very own therapeutic shoes and
Hey there.
custom
We're going to be
inserts.
off on
Medicare
Thursday,
recipients
but back
are
live on
entitled
Friday this
to
week.
one pair
Just
of
give you a
quality
heads up early.
diabetic shoes
All right, hold on.
and
All
3
right,
custom
Youngerman.
inserts. Call the sole authority today, 954-597-7060.
Listen to the Steve King Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for Doug.
All right, we are back. It is now time for the Gold Report, brought to you by William Youngerman of William Youngerman Inc. William,
Steve King
of
Show.
course, one of the most knowledgeable people in the world of precious metals.
Okay, all right.
Advising clients on trends and movements in the gold market for over 50 years. And those of you who've been following him through the years on the Steve King Show, I don't have to tell you, you sure know. Hopefully you followed his advice. William, how's it looking today? William, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we just got put on. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Very well this morning. I'm nice close on the last 3 days, last Thursday, before the holiday. 1774.50. Silver close just under $18, $17.92 on 5 minutes at 8:01. Maybe closed out 3 days, 36. US dollar down. US dollar index down 96.70. And that pushes gold to higher and stock market continues to rally higher. Gold level $7.76, $186 the ounce. That's pushing towards the high that's seen and silver up 30%, $16.35. Platinum up $29 to $830. And labeled up $2 to $18.54. So starting off the week with a good rally here.
And not only that, look, platinum finally fulfilling the promise that we had looked forward to. Gee, it's almost up to $900 already. A good day to stop by and make your purchase of these precious metals at good prices at William Youngerman Inc., located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. That's the Bank America building. You'll find William on the first floor, directly across from the bank. You can reach him by phone at 1-800-327-5010 or go to the website at williamyoungerman.com. William will talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
You too.
All right, so just looking here. This is the.
Platinum finally made its move.
That's great. This is the Atlanta mayor. Okay, this is on Fox News. Atlanta mayor unloads after child killed near Black Lives Matter protest site. You can't blame this on the police. Again, this woman is on Biden's short list. She says the Wendy's Occupy protesters will now be cleared because of the shooting of this 8-year-old girl. You know, and you know, there's no way she's still on Biden's list. She's making too much sense. She's coming out in favor of the police. She's defending the police and attacking Black Lives Matter.
All right. That's your opinion on this. Mine is 180 degrees the opposite. I think that whoever her advisors are said if you want to get from, you know, 3rd or 4th or wherever you may be now on the short list, if you want to go to number 1, this is the move to make. I think she did it because of her
Really?
vice presidential.
How will the Democrats take it when she's siding with cops, attacking Black Lives Matter? I don't see how they would put up with it.
The people that won't put up with it are
Their base.
They're going to be there forever.
Nah.
They're going to reach out to the people that are starting to realize that they're with the town burners.
Yeah. I don't think so. You know, listen, she's going to be more famous and controversial.
Let me put it.
We'll find out with the pundits today.
Let me put it another way. If this was the scale of justice or whatever it is, would you say that the Democratic Party, as it exists today, would you say it is Leans to the left, to the right, or how much?
Oh, they're militant left right now.
Militant left, all right. So if you wanted to balance it and pick up some people who might be opposed to what you're doing, but who would you vote for?
Well, yeah, but we're not Democrats.
No, I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about...
I think what she's doing is... Well, we'll find out today, because...
You think it's going to come out today?
No, not the pick, but we'll find out today, not watching Fox, on CNN today and MSNBC, they're going to be talking about this. Because the parents were on TV, it was an 8-year-old little girl, that was murdered. It was multiple shooters, and she was murdered very specifically because the car she was in drove past the demonstrators' illegal barricade on the road. So this is going to be talked about on all the cable news today. So based on
how do you think the left's going to...
Well, I'm going to tell you, we're going to find out today who's right, because the pundits on CNN and MSNBC are going to be responding to what the mayor said about clearing out the... So if they come out in favor of the mayor, you're right. If they don't...
No.
I'm right.
They do it. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. The pundits the pundits have their own agenda.
Yeah, but where the pundits go where the Democrat pundits on Democrat cable go today will give you an idea of where the Democrat Party's mindset is, because they're all Democrat activists and operatives and advisors and all this stuff. I think obviously they're against the murder of the 8-year-old little girl. Everybody is. But I don't think they will take very kindly to her blaming the Black Lives Matter protesters there, which is what she's been doing.
I don't think they'll comment on that.
No, we'll find out. I can't imagine being pro-police is going to help anyone get a Democrat vote.
You do because I'm not here first thing in the morning.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You do a rehash of the results?
We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, sure. I hope they come out on the right side of it. They're
nice for a change.
Well, if the Democrats were smart, see, this is an opportunity for them to get out of this very destructive mode they're in.
The question.
If they were smart, but they're not. They're Democrats.
Okay, then I rest my case.
If they were smart, they would use this as an opportunity to distance themselves from these militants that are beheading statues. I mean, who were these idiots that took down the Frederick Douglass statue? My goodness. They didn't know who the statue was of. They don't know who Frederick Douglass was, I guess.
No kidding.
Unless it was white.
They went and had
They saw a statue and they tore it down.
A public school education.
The war on statues. Well, I was thinking about this over the weekend. The age of the people that are really upset are the college-age kids, right? Like in their 20s. And I was thinking about this over the weekend. Why are they so opposed? You know what I think it is? I think it's Common Core. That Common Core education, these 20-somethings that are out doing these things were educated in the public schools during Common Core under Obama. Obama was president, So I'm wondering if there is something to do with the Common Core education so far as like social studies and things like this in American history that has something to do with them being so angry.
You can bet on it.
Yeah. Well, Common Core is gone now. so hopefully they'll get back on track.
Yeah, but the effects of the Obama administration on our educational system live on.
Now, as we end the show, I got to tell people, if you watch on YouTube Live, you get a look at this. While I did shower this morning, I missed my left elbow. I missed my left. My left elbow is very dirty, and what that is paint from Ace Hardware. That because last weekend I finished up my master bedroom. And then my wife told me, "Oh, it's such a great job, but the closet doors in the hallway don't match our bedroom now." So I had to do some work on the doors and also had to paint to match everything. And I missed a little spot there. But I got to tell you, Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware, everything I use, whether I do any type of work around the house, all come from either Beach Ace Hardware or Deerfield Ace Hardware. There are lots of Ace Hardwares around, but only 2 that advertise on the Steve Kane Show. They're both listed at SteveKaneShow.com. Deerfield Ace Hardware and the Beach Ace Hardware location, Lauderdale by the Sea. Absolutely. And, I've done so much work on the inside of my house since they've joined us as as sponsors, and it's their prices are very, very good. And first thing, when we first went over to Ace Hardware, I'd not been in an Ace Hardware in a long, long time. And the first thing I did was look at the prices, because I thought, it's like an old town kind of store, and the prices are very, very low. They're very competitive. And I was talking to them over there, and they said, well, the way things work now with the internet, the prices are the same, if not lower, that you'll find elsewhere. And what you find at Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware that you will not find at Lowe's or Home Depot is you'll find people that are there to help you. When I go into Lowe's or Home Depot, and I've gone in there in the past, if I find someone to help me, they look at me like I'm a jerk because I don't know how to do this, or I don't know that, or I don't know what screw I need for this. At Ace Hardware Deerfield and Beach Ace Hardware, everyone that works in there, they're carpenters, electricians, they're plumbers, they're from the construction business. They know what you need to get the job done, and when you leave, you will leave not only being helped very well, and none of that attitude, you'll leave with everything you need for that project, so you don't have to make return trips. At Lowe's and Home Depot, I find myself going back 5-6 times because I never get everything I need because they're just not helpful over there. So anyway, when you stop in, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. All right, we're all out of time. So that's it for today.
We thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. I'm Steve, Brian. Until tomorrow, God bless America.
Our life insurance policy only pays someone if you die.
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe, all right? Take care.
Your benefits even